It's the new weekly ritual for Simshed broadcasting stock car racing oval style on a Saturday night. Good evening, everybody. Nice to have you company wherever you're joining us all around Australia, all around the world, be it via Facebook or YouTube. Welcome to Simshed Broadcasting's exclusive coverage of Weekend Warriors action and the Iowa 300, this Saturday night edition of motorsport across the platforms of Simshed Broadcasting on the back of course, our supercar coverage earlier in the week from the Charlotte Roval. We move inland as far as the United States of America is concerned and off to Iowa Speedway. So we've gone from the banked high-speed super speedway of Talladega to the 1.5 miler at Charlotte. Now we go short track racing at Newton, Iowa. So looking forward to this one tonight. Huge field in the server. I've got Aidan Schultz and Peter Gretton alongside us in the commentary box for 212 laps around Newton, Iowa. Now, you might think 212 laps, Christ, that's going to be a long night. Not really. It's a short track, less than half a minute laps. These guys are going to fang it out, and we are going to bring you every step of the journey commercial free. Looking forward to it immensely. Aidan Schultz, good evening to you, the expert as far as this Weekend Warriors racing is concerned. From the unpredictability that super speedway racing throws up at Talladega to Newton, Iowa, racecraft is going to be all the talk tonight, and strategy is going to be a big part of this.
Yeah, 100%, Zach, and thank you, mate, and welcome to you too, and welcome to Peter on the Simshed Broadcasting Network tonight at Iowa Speedway. Definitely going to be a different track tonight. It's actually one of the fastest, well, it is the fastest short track oval on the planet, so it's going to be really, really interesting racing to see how these guys be able to sort out their race cars tonight. It is a two-lane track. You can go a little bit higher to be able to save your tyres. You can go low as well. So don't be surprised if we do see a little bit of argy-bargy in this one. I hope we do go green to the end, rather. But really excited to be a part of the broadcast tonight and be able to bring all these beautiful images and this great broadcast to Australia, New Zealand, and the rest of the world.
Yeah, looking forward to it immensely. Peter Gretton, welcome into you as well. Trying your hand in the booth with us tonight on the back of Wreckfest Talladega style. That was a lot of fun last week.
It definitely was, Zach, and thank you, Aidan and JP, for having me along board for this week's race. I was actually on track for the Talladega 500. It was awesome to see Mark win and you guys broadcast, but I'm just going to sit back and watch you guys do what you do. It's going to be an awesome show. I can't wait.
Looking forward to your insights throughout the course of the evening, mate. You can see qualifying underway on screen here at the moment. 10-minute session, line qualifying, the order of the day. Then we get stuck into 212 laps. None of the pre-race ceremonies that we had last week, of course, being a special occasion for Anzac Day. We're going to get straight into it a little bit earlier tonight, so we can get you out of here ready to go and watch real-world Formula 1 and MotoGP qualifying on what is a massive weekend of real-world motorsport, of course. A little bit of difference between our stock car racing and the real-world thing this weekend, because last week, whilst we were in sync and everyone was at Talladega, this week we're in Iowa, and they're, of course, in Kansas. So looking forward to that all the same as well. Aidan, let's have a look at the championship points here, because whilst, again, last week you don't really tell the full story when it comes to Talladega because it throws up such unpredictability. The consistency of this season belongs with Darren McKenzie. He leads the way on 282 points from Josh Carroll Walton, who was right in the thick of it right to the very end last week, 260. Dave Durand on 253. Mark Johannesson with that win rockets up into fourth place on 222 points. Cade Donnelly 214. 208 for Stephen Williams. Paul Jackson on 204 points. Scott McClintock 202. Dylan Davies 201, and Raymond Jager making up the top 10 on 198 points. So 84 points separates first and 10th at the moment. We'll let that continue scrolling along for you, ladies and gentlemen, so you can find out where your favourite driver sits at the moment as we approach the start of the Iowa 300. But Aidan, what have you made of the season thus far, and who should we be watching as the season goes on? Because we're about a third of the way through the championship. This is round 12. We've got it's a 35-round season, I think I'm right in saying. So there's a lot to play out, but already we know not to read too much into the results on super speedways, but consistency is going to be the key, and it looks like Darren McKenzie's the man to beat at the moment.
Yeah, definitely there, Zach. Darren is the man to beat at the moment. He is doing an amazing job there at the top of the championship. But With this series, they've also got a teams championship at the moment. Iowa, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but Iowa Racing, which is Paul Jackson and Barry Neal, are actually leading that one at the moment. So, but if you look at who I think is someone to watch, I reckon those two guys tonight are going to be someone to people to watch and see if they're going to get up there. Dave Trevathan is always really quick. Also, David Duran from the United States, don't write him off. He's always quick as well. So, but in saying that, it's the flip of the coin. This is stock car racing and anything can happen.
Indeed, it can. Looking forward to what should be an awesome race here. And we're going to get stuck into some track notes here for you and just have a quick look at tonight's race for you. 15th of May, 2021. So we're set 2 weeks into the future and about 12 hours as well, because 21:30 race start time. Newton, Iowa, I think, is about 15 hours behind Australian Eastern Standard Time. So 2 and a bit weeks into the future. 21 is the air temp, 22 on track, 18 kilometre an hour wind speed, southwesterly direction. Fuel restriction of 57 litres. Pit stops 3 to 4 of them expected throughout the course of the night. The burn here per lap, 1.38 litres, and there are 4 sets of tyres available to the drivers tonight. So again, they'll start on a set, and if they do stretch it out to 4 sets, they're going to have to double stint on 1 set of tyres at least. 212 laps, 302.7 kilometre race distance, and the track length about 1.37 kilometres. We've got the cars lining up here, so it must have only been a 5-minute qualifying there for you, ladies and gentlemen. I've been misled there, but that's okay. The old anchorman, read exactly what the screen tells you, and we are getting set for 212 laps of NASCAR racing here on a Saturday night, and looking forward to it immensely. And did you like what I did there, JP? Who, of course, you can't hear, ladies and gentlemen at home, but I read from right to left because the Americans always do things in reverse. So I thought I'd go the other way tonight with the info sheet. Let's get stuck into this race. We are getting set for what should be an interesting affair. Not the pack racing that you're used to when we brought you Talladega and the Anzac Cup last week, which was memorable for so many reasons, not least, of course, Mark Johannesson's win on the last lap. But it's going to be all to play for all the same, Aidan, as we get stuck into a little bit of pre-race banter.
And Zach, I need to actually cut you off there. We've brought Brad Allison, who is on the outside of the front row, up into the broadcast booth. Brad, I was speaking, have you got a copy there, mate? I was speaking to you earlier before the broadcast.
Certainly have got a copy. How are we, gentlemen?
Yeah, good, mate. Very well, very well. Really quick one before you go green here, mate. You weren't expecting to be there. You were telling me earlier that you were happy to finish this one. So you happy with that qualifying performance?
Especially considering I blew the first lap, yes. I don't know what happened.
No worries, mate. So how do you think this is going to play out? You're going to keep it high, try keep those tyres. Do you think it's going to be fuel strategy, tyre strategy for the viewers at home? What are you planning from your point of view?
Well, it's a long race, 212. We've only got, 3 changes of tyres. So we've got to do 50 laps per set of tyres. So obviously looking after the tyres, I think, is going to be really important. Short track, we're probably going to get plenty of cautions, so you'll get a chance to pit under yellow, one imagines. Hopefully I'm not going to miss him. And try and avoid the bump in turn 3. That's the main thing.
No worries, mate. Well, thank you for the insight for the viewers there at home in Australia, New Zealand, and all around the world. And we thank you for your time, and we wish you all the best here from the broadcast booth. And hopefully we're talking to you later on in the broadcast.
Anytime. Thanks for talking.
All right, quickly through the grid because we're running short for time here. Troy Davison and Brad Allison are on the front row here. It's Davison with the pole. Steve Williams and David Duran from the second row. Barry Neal and, of course, Devon Stove from the third row. Mark Smith is on the fourth row. Alongside him is Ruben Phelps. Fifth row, Nathan Button and David McKenzie. Sixth row, Kobe Jordan and Tony Gagliardi. Seventh row, sorry, I think I said seventh row firstly. Seventh row now. Wilby Esberg and Sean King. Eighth row, Mark Johannesson and Matt Patton. Ninth row, Adam Ariel and Greg Spencer. 10th row will be Terry Marwood and Scott McClintock. 11th row, Paul Jackson and Jamie Nankervis. 12th row, Dylan Davies and Parry Anastakis. Behind them, as we get the green flag, will be Nathan Legg and Daniel Aguilera Bates. Getting set for a start in Iowa. They're racing. 212 laps ahead of us. And straight into the lead goes the 0.23 of Troy Davidson, leading the field away. Good start from Stephen Williams getting down there on the inside. of Brad Allison, who shuffles back into third position. Barry Neal and Dave Duran swapping around as well. The field sorts itself out, and we've had a safe start in Iowa.
Yeah, absolutely sensational start there, Zach, from all the drivers. Nice and clean, as we see Barry Neal there down the inside, right behind Brad Allison, we were lucky enough there to give up his time quickly before we jumped in and raced. And sorry there to bring him up and have to rush that starting order. But
That's all right.
we're there and we're running, and these guys have had an absolutely amazing start to this race. But at home, guys, buckle yourself in. 212 laps of sensational door-to-door banging stock car racing.
Now, just remember, folks, last week, race control was iRacing, the internal server. There's our first yellow, and I was just about to say, as soon as someone scrapes a wall, as soon as someone rubs up against someone or flick spins or whatever the case may be, they might be able to drive off, but the caution's going to get thrown. We'll get our first one of the night.
Yeah,
so
we'll
find out soon
to,
what it is for, Aiden.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there. Again, Zach, I was about to say the same thing. It'll be interesting to go back and see what this caution has been brought out from, because it looked like a pretty clean start. So we'll wait and we'll see here as we go back to the SimSnap replay now.
SimSnap.com iRacing photography replay for you. And it's interesting that, here we go. The 97's pulled up a little bit lame, and that's when the cautions got thrown. So he'll end up probably taking that position back, I would assume, from the 11. Because the 11 would have been deemed to have passed under yellow. We'll find out more in a moment there with regards to that. We are 2 by 2. I have no idea why they've thrown that caution, but get ready for a long night of this, ladies and gentlemen, because, as I say, it's short track racing. So as soon as there's a car that scrapes a wall, hits a wall, whatever the case may be, you will see that safety car on track. The safety car will actually finish ahead of some of the drivers tonight in terms of the outright finishing order and laps completed. Already in the lane, Matt Patton and Mark Johannesson taking this early opportunity to pit. So we would suspect that they may be involved, because really, in the fair income department, Peter and Aiden, I'll get you both to chime in here, it's too early to even bother worrying about tyres or fuel.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely too early. They might have got tied up in that, or they might just be topping up. But being 5 laps in, only 3 laps under green, there's no really reason to come in at the moment unless you got caught up in something. So I'd say that they've had an interesting start to their race, and you've called that exactly right, Zach. And while I'm on the subject of talking, I might have to just say thank you, Zach, for making yourself available tonight, mate. I did reach out on socials tonight to be able to help me as we needed other commentators. So, mate, thank you so much for making yourself available and to be able to bring all these beautiful images to all around the world for SimShed Broadcasting and the Weekend Warriors League, mate. We do appreciate it.
I signed off last night, quite happy with myself, because with Cooler Motocross being called off due to inclement weather, I thought, yep, free weekend. I was wrong. But no, pleasure to be here, especially after last week. If this race in any way, shape or form can live up to the hype, the excitement, the drama, the buzz, the intensity of last week, as I do my best, Bill Laurie, then we are in for something special over the next 206 laps. We are on lap 6. Lights still on the safety car. Of course, normally on a circuit, you'll see a 3-lap caution period. I suspect you'll get a little bit more than that with the short tracks. It might be 4 or 5, but either way, the field is pretty well set when we get back to green. The big mover early on, actually, is Terry Marwood down there in 14th position. He's moved up 5 positions, and behind him, Scott McGlintock up 4 positions from 20th to 16th, and Parry Anastakis, the great man himself, who will be at Sydney Motorsport Park with me in 2 weeks' time and unable to race on the Saturday night in the Weekend Warriors. He's up 7 positions already, having started 24th. He is 17th at the moment, so he's the biggest mover early on.
And we definitely need to look out for Parry there, Zach. It's really good that you mentioned him. He's an absolutely sensational driver, and he'll just be the sleeper in this race, and he'll just be circulating around and keep that pace in that car ready for the end of the race. He's just going to circulate and circulate and circulate, and then he'll put his foot down when he needs to. But he does race in real life as well, which is amazing. So it's amazing for these guys that do the real world stuff to be able to jump into the sim racing world. But we're about to go green now, so we'll hand it over to you, Zach, to call it on the start.
I was going to say, the lights out on the safety car. We're getting ready for a restart. Troy Davison will take control of the field here. When he hits the gas, they'll get going. may bank up nicely, but not nicely enough because Davidson was impatient there. He said, as soon as I get the chance, as soon as I get clear air, the floor will be hit to the maximum. The throttle gets slammed down and he is gone. Davidson, Williams and Allison side by side on the exit of 2 for this, the 8th time. First time under the green flag conditions off the restart here. And now, what's an interesting observation here, and I'll get both of you to chime in here because you're the experts when it comes to driving these cars, not me. And I'll go with you first, Peter, just to get your thoughts, mate. So I'd hate for you to be here and not talk to us at any point because so far you've struggled to get a word in between Aiden and I. That's what happens when you get chatterboxes in the commentary box, ladies and gentlemen. Pete, to you first. You'll notice, and our viewers at home will notice this throughout the course of the night, different drivers taking different lines. Everyone has their own fast way around here, don't they?
Oh, they definitely do. And I was actually lucky enough to be on the track last week for the Anzac Cup, and what a race that was. But just I'll do a quick sneaky shout out to car number 61. We're riding on board with him now, who's got the Sim Shed broadcasting logos out there. But definitely different lines to be had, and everyone knows where they're comfortable and what's the fastest way around here. And it's with the different pit stops and compulsory pit stops that they have to do, I think that, you've already touched on that there's going to be a lot of cautions. They're not going to want to pit under green, I don't think. They're going to pit under yellow, and that's just my take on the race, I think. But shout out to car number 61. He's getting plenty of stream time now with Sim Shed, and you guys do an awesome job, and just listening to you guys, Zach and Aiden, is enough for me. I don't need to talk too much, and everyone knows that follows me on my freelance stuff is I can talk a shitload. So this is going to be an awesome just sitting beside you guys, and this is going to be a good race.
Aiden, your thoughts on the different lines that these guys will take throughout the course of the evening?
We've had
Down goes to 61. There's our second yellow. Well, come back to you, Aiden. Devon Stove is in the wall.
Commentator's curse.
Darren McKenzie is the one that got into the side of him. Wow.
I just give him a rap too, boys.
Exactly. There's the curse, all right. And big hit. Massive shunt.
And that's Devon Stove from Short Shift Sim Racing magazine, unfortunately having an incident there with Darren McKenzie getting up on the inside of him. So that's really unfortunate for Devon Stove there. We joked before we got on air. As you can see there, he's managed to pull it up before it's hit the wall. So he's managed to save it. He'll join back on at somewhere here towards the back of the queue, but he's lost a lot of ground in all of that. Just having a look down, he's dropped 15 positions from where he started. He was 6th on the grid. He's now 21st. Stephen Williams is in the lane as well. So he's now taking that opportunity to come in and run to a different strategy to everybody else. Scott McClintock comes in too. A safety car on the circuit for the second time tonight. We are only on lap 14. Strap in, folks. It could be a long night. But we joked off air before we came on air, and I don't mind telling you this, folks, that because of that marvellous logo that is planted onto the side of Devon Stove's car, the SimShed Broadcasting logo, that he'd be getting a lot of screen time tonight. We didn't think it'd be unintentionally, but there you go. Already on the screen for reasons that he wouldn't like being on the screen for. Troy Davidson, Brad Allison. I've had a dyslexic moment there. Barry Neal, Dave Durand, and Ruben Phelps now the top 5. Aaron McKenzie up to 6th, but he may have some answering to the stewards to do at that point in time after turning Devon Stove around. Aiden, we were talking about, and let me come back before we get back to green, we were talking about different lines, different drivers, and right there is proof that it doesn't always work, because clearly Darren thought the low line was the fast way round, Stove was in the middle, and unfortunately Darren's run out of racetrack there. Yeah, definitely, Zach, and you can get really caught up in oval racing to try and race your race too early, to be honest, and I've been caught up personally doing that a lot this year and had some terrible results, but it's not about me. You really need to bide your time on oval, and it's really in the last 20 or 30 laps where you're going to win it, and the first 10 to 50 is where you're going to lose it. So we saw that there with the guys there. There are no quick repairs tonight, so if any of those guys got any damage, they're going to have to sit in the pit lane. and that's going to lose time. So keeping your car clean, keeping it straight and ready for the last 20 or 30 laps is going to be the title of the night tonight to get these guys to the win.
Very good evening to those of you tuning in via social media across the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting. Appreciate your comments that are coming through already. Quite a few actually interacting with the broadcast. Peter's getting a lot of love there as well from some mates of his that are tuning in. So get around that, and we'll head around behind the caution one more time. And we are on lap 17 now of the Iowa 300. And, well, already some drama and some excitement. We know the cause of the second caution. We're still not quite aware of the cause of the first caution. But one thing's for sure, it won't be the last.
Yeah, definitely right there, Zach. And if we do go under caution again, I wouldn't mind getting into a bit of technical detail about the track and where it originated from and all that type of stuff. But we're about to go green, so I'll let you bring him to the green flag again, mate, and let us go.
Let's rip. Let's get stuck into the third stanza of this race. It'll be interesting to see when we look back how many chapters and verses are written here. Last week, there was the sting in the tail with green, white, checker. Will we be in for green, white, checker tonight? Let's wait and see. When they settle into a rhythm, will we get a solid, good green flag run? Will it turn into just a stop-start affair as it has already turned out to be? They're off. They're racing again. Davidson very keen to put the foot down and get going. And that's served him well thus far. He leads into turn 1 and 2. Out of 2 onto the back straight. He's got 2 car lengths. Allison jumps in behind. Durand and Neil side by side. Durand's got that covered for the moment. Neil looks to fight back on the inside through 3 and 4. Can he go with him? At the moment, the high line serves Durand well. Phelps is in there. McKenzie, Gagliardi, then Smith, Marwood and King make up the top 10 at this point in time. It's interesting to note that Barry Neal is hanging with that low line, and it's now paid off because he's got through on the inside of Durand and now looks to come up to try and block the attack, but then hangs low as they come round through turn 3 and 4 one more time. But in doing all of that, the top 2 have built a little bit of a buffer for themselves. Not much, but enough to be comfortable at this point in time, enough to not be under any sort of threat or danger. Oh, geez, side by side for 3rd and 4th, and Durand and Neal going at it early. Durand proving that the high line is manageable, but he's also got to be mindful. Not only has he got Neil on the inside, he's got Ruben Phelps closing right in behind him as well.
Yeah, and as we're on board here with Ruben Phelps at the moment, Zach, we've got to watch out for David Durand. He's always quick. He comes from the United States and been joining this league a lot, and he was a part of all the pre-race stuff last week with the Anzac Talladega round. But we're on board with Ruben Phelps, and don't write Ruben off. He comes from New Zealand. He's in New Zealand at the moment, and it's very late over there in New Zealand. And he joins this series every week. He joins ANSCAR. He joins a lot of different series that are run, and he's had an absolutely sensational year. So don't write Ruben off. He knows how to race these cars and give his car, or put his car rather, in a good position to be able to fight for the win at the end. So let's see how Ruben goes. As we're looking out the back of Darren McKenzie, giving him a little bit of heat.
So Phelps there in 5th position. McKenzie, a man on a mission. Terry Marwood up 11 positions already from 9th to 8th. The big mover early on. Parry Anastakis continues to try and climb his way forward, although he's dropped down to 24th position now. So I'm not really sure. Actually, no. I know what's happened to Parry. He came in on lap 14, so he was one of several people that used that last safety car to come into the pit lane. Then Curvis McClintock, the others, and so too Stephen Williams. There were a few that pitted on lap 5, and Paul Jackson and Dylan Davies, 13th and 14th are the best placed cars from the first round of pit stops in that first caution period. So interesting to see a few different strategies at play here. We're on lap 24. We've had a solid, good run of green flag running at this point in time in the third stanza of this race as we get to lap 25. Now, it's 212 laps, so we're not even an eighth of the way there yet, ladies and gentlemen. That's still a couple of laps away as they head on to the back straight again. Davidson, Allison, Neal, Phelps. Durand has dropped back to 5th in all of that. McKenzie 6th still. Trying to keep the pressure on there. Try to find his way into the top 5. Gagliardi, Marwood. Marwood the big mover thus far, as I said earlier, from 19th to 8th, but there's a long way to go. We won't read too much into that. just yet. As we said, Talladega last week, you can't read too much into qualifying. You're almost willing to say the same again this week. But the two leaders are status quo. They've stayed exactly where they started and have done for 27 laps.
And I'm just going to jump in here before anyone else does, and I think that's what you got to do here. But the guy that I'm keeping looking out for is Mark Johannesson.
Yep.
He done the unspeakable rather last week, and he's sitting back in 22nd, and he might be further back in the grid, but hopefully we can see the green conditions that we're seeing now. But Mark Johannesson is definitely one to watch. He's in 22nd. He has pit once, I'm pretty sure, and I don't know. Don't take your eyes off him, to be honest. I think he knows how to do this stuff, and he runs the league too. So shout out to Weekend Warriors and everyone involved.
There was no more a fitting winner last week than Mark Johannesson, Aidan, for all the reasons we documented at the end of the broadcast last week. Not just the series organiser, but a return vet. It was just a spine-tingling sort of moment. Can he back it up this week?
Yeah, it was a sensational moment last week for the league and for Mark. It was actually a few tears went down people's eyes last week to be able to see him do that, and I'm really proud of him to be able to do that. I know how hard it is to be able to run a league and how much effort's put in, let alone being able to come out and win it, especially around Talladega. So it was such a privilege to be able to have the opportunity to be able to call that with you, Zach, and it was amazing. But he's here again, and Peter, you're exactly right. Got to watch out for him. It is oval racing, so what we see at the moment with the positions, it doesn't really matter where he is at the moment. He will work his way back up, as we see Greg Spencer there on the inside of the number 11 car. But I'm thinking I've got someone up in the booth to have a chat and have an onboard with. I'll just do that now.
All right, let's wait to see who Hayden's going to drag in here.
Okay, so I've got Paul Jackson up into the commentary booth. Paul Jackson, have you got a copy?
Got a copy, mate.
Paul, interesting start to the race, mate. A couple of yellows. How do you think your race is going, mate?
Just sitting back at the moment, turning some laps and waiting for everyone else to chew their tyres off there, and we're sort of coming into the back of these cars here now and trying to get around them. So,
all right, I'll let the other guys have a conversation with you, Peter or Zach. Anything you want to say to Paul?
Well, I was just going to jump in there and say well done to you, Aidan, because you found someone that's in the mid-pack. How do you manage that at this stage of the race, Paul? Do you sweat on it too much, the fact that you've got to be mindful of cars not only in front of you but also behind you, or is that something you more take into consideration at the back end of the race when we're playing for sheep stations?
well, obviously in the early laps on a tyre stint, people are going to push a little bit harder maybe at the front of the pack, and you see them drop off as the laps go by, and you just got to sit and wait it out and try and make your move when you can and try and get those spots. Just a patience game really, and pick one off at a time. So,
Pete, anything you want to add while Paul's here?
Yeah, Paul, it's Pete here, mate. Hey, it's good to see you in the mid-pack and you're there battling. What's the trick here? It's no super speedway, mate, but what's any insight to the viewers? What's your trick, if you're willing to say?
definitely all about saving tyres. You push too early, you chew them off, and you'll be dropping places. So, yeah, just look after the tyres and wait it out.
Good stuff, mate. We wish you luck too, bud.
Thanks, mate.
No worries, Paul. Well, from Aidan, Zach and Peter up here in the commentary booth, mate, we wish you the best of luck. Thank you for allowing us to jump on board and create the content. And as Peter said, and I'll reiterate, we wish you all the best for the rest of the race, mate.
Cheers, boys.
Good to have Paul Jackson up here in the booth momentarily. Good that we're able to actually jump in live while under green and have a chat to these drivers. And we get Aidan to organise that before we go green to see who's willing to have a chat to us during the race, because some drivers can do it and it doesn't disturb them, distract them too much. Other drivers need to be able to concentrate holeless bowless on what's ahead of them.
Yeah, 100% there, Zach. It is hard. I know I like doing it. It's good, but some drivers don't. They want to concentrate. So it's great to be able to bring a little bit of different content here to the SimShed broadcasting and the broadcasting of the Weekend Warriors iRacing League. So it's great for these drivers to give themselves up and to be able to create that content for us.
You're giving us ideas for our NTS GAC series, and at the end of the year, we've got a Bathurst 1000, as you know, Aiden. I'm already thinking, who would be game enough to have a chat to us while doing a hot lap at Mount Panorama? I'm struggling to think of anyone that would be willing to do that at this point in time.
Yeah, exactly. And I will be commentating that with you, mate. So it will be interesting to see who's going to do that. But I reckon Sean McNamara might be the man to do it. But anyway, let's concentrate on the race at hand.
Exactly.
We're on with Brad Allison.
Yeah, he's got a couple of lap cars just ahead of him here that we've got our eye on, because he's got Barry Neal directly in front of him, and then there's that white car that's I think lap traffic here. So Neal's got up into second position. Davison is ahead 2.6 seconds down the road. Davison has bolted. Neal, Allison, Phelps, and Duran the top 5 at this point in time. We ride on board with Allison, who's under pressure from Ruben Phelps as well. Now, whether Ruben's up the inside, the outside, or up the high line, I'm not sure, but Phelps is right. Allison and Phelps are side by side, literally going into the first corner. And they are making their way around onto the back straight. This is quite an extraordinary battle because, again, you're only seeing half of it at the moment, but that is it. There it is, side by side, and Phelps has got over the top of Allison to take third away here, and the chase for Neal continues now.
And this is why I like oval racing, Zach, and I get a part of it, because we were just, as we go back to a simsnap.com iRacing photography replay of the pass of Ruben Phelps going up the inside there of Bradley Allison, just keeping the car nice and clean. He's got better rear tyres by the looks of it and drove out of the corner. But as I said, this is the beauty of oval racing, which I really like about it. We just spoke to Paul, and he said there that he's going to, save his tyres and be able to get his car back there at the end of the race. So it changes, it comes in ebbs and flows. Like, we're here 44 laps in out of 212, but we're still nowhere near from knowing who's going to win this thing. So that's the thing I love about oval racing.
To give you an indication, folks, we're not yet half an hour into the race. So it's a long night ahead for those guys and for us as well, and no doubt for you at home too. But it fills the void nicely, because very shortly you'll get MotoGP qualifying at about 10 past 10. You get Formula 1 qualifying at midnight. So this is the entree to the main course that awaits a little bit later on tonight. And don't forget, tomorrow morning, IndyCar qualifying from 6 a.m. and race 1 of the 2 in Texas from 9 a.m. Looking forward to that immensely as well. Lap 46, across the line we go. Dave Durand is sitting there at the moment on screen in position number 5. He's got Brad Allison right in front of him, Mark Smith right beside him at this point in time. And that explains too why we had to go to the iRacing replay there too with Brad Allison, because Ruben Phelps was literally positioned alongside him. You didn't see him looking out the back or looking out the front, because he was right there on his left-hand side. So he was very nicely positioned to get that move done. Troy Davidson, the leader, he's skipped clear, 1.7 seconds. Barry Neal has brought that gap down a little bit. That gap was out over 2 seconds. So Neal is chipping away at that inch by inch at the moment. I'll speak in inches because we're in the United States. Ruben Phelps sits there in third, and Brad Allison is fourth. Mark Smith now moves up into fifth position, gets by Dave Durand, Darren McKenzie, Tony Cagrelati, trying to read too fast here. Devon Stowe, despite that spin earlier, has got himself back up into the top 10 now in ninth. And Paul Jackson now sits in 10th position, having got back into the top 10 whilst this midsection of the race unfolds. He was sitting down there in 12th while we were on board with him. And it's interesting to note there, up on the inside, so this is the 7. That's Mark Smith on Brad Allison. Can he get the job done? And look who's there as well in Dave Durand, looking to go right up around the outside. 3 wide almost going through turn 1, which is exactly what we said earlier. 3 different racing lines around here. It's just which one works to your advantage, but also which one suits your strategy. Because let's face it, we were talking earlier about the need to preserve tyres when we were talking to Paul Jackson. Whoa, what a wobble!
Loose on the exit. And
Huge
Paul
wobble.
Jackson's under sorry to cut you off there.
You're right.
Now we move to Paul Jackson, who's under a lot of pressure. I was about to go into a little bit of a track detail there, but there's too much happening at the moment.
Exactly.
So let's get amongst that. Paul Jackson's there at the moment doing a good job, but he's under pressure. There's a lot of pressure behind him and a lot of racing. So we're on board here with Devon Stove at the moment, who did have that incident earlier in the race, but he's done really well to recover.
Certainly has. 53 laps will be quarter race distance, 25% for you, ladies and gentlemen. 453s get you to 212. So 75% race distance will be somewhere around the 159 lap mark this evening. We go back to the front. Brad Allison is fourth. Fifth is Mark Smith. Sixth is Dave Duran. They are within half a second of one another at the moment, but Duran's just slipping back a couple of car lengths at this point, and that battle will continue to play out as we go back to Steve Williams now in 10th position. Under pressure from Devon Stowe there as well.
And I do apologise there, viewers. I think I said Dylan Stove, not Devon Stove. I can't remember if I did, so I do apologise if I did.
Pit lane, boys, pit lane. Kobe Jordan and Darren McKenzie have come into the lane. They are the first to jump, to pull the pin and say, look, we'll pit under green. We're not going to get a caution at this point in time. So they've decided we're at that quarter race distance. We're talking about this being a 3-4 stopper. They're at quarter race distance. If they can do 53 lap stints, they get it done in 3 stops. Yellow, right on time for those guys. How lucky are they? What a break that is. There you go. We've got a yellow on circuit just as these guys are pulled into their pit box. And now everyone's going to come to the lane.
Yeah, definitely very interesting there, Zach. And that actually worked really well for those guys to come into pit lane. So will they get a penalty, though, to be able to come through there? Because timing is everything, but sometimes when you're in pit lane and the yellow comes out, you'll actually go to the back. So let's see what iRacing does here and let it evolve and see what it goes. But while we're on that, I'll let you and Peter there, Zach, call under yellow and have a bit of time and give Peter a little bit of a time to get up in the box and have a bit of a chat, and I'll walk away for a second and leave you guys with it.
I copy that. Nothing like going for a pit stop halfway through a race. Paul Jackson, Dylan Davies, the big movers thus far, 13 and 14 positions gained, but now everyone's coming to pit road. So, Pete, one of the great things about NASCAR racing is when they come to pit road, and let's face it, everyone in the top 10 will most likely take the bait here. It's the race off pit road. So who can get their service done and back out there, and whether we see a leapfrog or a change of positions of some description.
Yeah, that's right, mate. And we've seen Kobe, as you just called it, as the yellow was called. So it'd be interesting to see if they cross the pit lane entry. If they didn't, they probably will serve a penalty for entering a closed pit lane. But I'm hoping for sure, because Kobe's one of my close mates, and he races for Iridian Sim Sports, and shout out to them too, because they also, Devon Stove, who you called earlier, does the Short Shift Sim magazine, and they hosted the round or sponsored the round last week for the ANZAP Cup. But I don't know, Zach, it's anyone's game. It's still early days. Let's see, I suppose, eh?
Yeah, some interesting observations here for you as well. Nice pit stop from Troy Davidson. He's got back out in second position. He's the first of the cars that pitted in that cycle on lap 55, the end of lap 55, to get back out on the racetrack. Barry Neal, Ruben Phelps follow. Mark Johannesson and Jamie Nankervis stayed out the first lap under caution, as we see Kobe Jordan in big trouble there. Have a look at the damage on the right-hand side guard. Now, this is something that's happened under caution, I'm going to suspect. That's a strange one, and I'll get your thoughts on this, Pete. What do you think's going on here, mate? I'm
not too sure, mate. I'm pretty much I didn't see any of that, and it's a shame too, because Kobe does good jobs. But I'm not too sure here.
Possibly a fuel issue, although that doesn't make any sense because he pitted on lap 52. So we'll wait and see. I was observing the guys that stayed out that extra lap. Mark Johannesson was one, Jamie Nankervis the other. They've now come back out in 15th and 16th, so maybe staying out the extra lap hurt them, but it's their second pit stop of the night. Johannesson pitted under the first caution, Nankervis the second. Now they've gone in and they've filled it back out mid-pack. under this third caution of the night. If you're just joining us, welcome. Live and exclusive coverage. Saturday Night Motorsport, the Weekend Warriors Series, the Short Shift Sim Racing Magazine, SimShed Broadcasting, and all of our other great broadcast partners as well. We'll make a list of that and inform you more about them a little bit later on. It is lap 58 of this race. We're under caution number 3. We've just gone through our first proper round of pit stops. Everyone's come in for a little bit of a top up there, with the exception of Matt Patton down there in position number 18. He pitted on lap 4, and Terry Marwood on lap 32. So Marwood's still good. He can keep on soldiering on, but Patton has not returned to the pit lane as yet. So this will be a 54-lap run for him, and no doubt a green flag pit stop ensures it's a strange strategy play to not come into pit lane under a caution, because it's a free pass to the competition. If you don't take the caution pit stop, or the opportunity for pit stop under caution, I should say, and then have to stop under green, you've just given everybody a free kick. However, if he does go a lap down and then we get the next caution, he should get the lucky dog pass. So, yeah. The number, here he is now, just on screen, on the subject, the number 10. He's going to get a wave around now and probably come to his pit lane on the back end of that. So there are a couple of drivers that are a lap down here. Let's wait and see if Patton does come to pit lane. No, he continues on. This is an interesting strategy play. So he gets the free pass. Terry Marwood follows him through. So does Scott McClintock. And I suspect the rest of the competition, Sean King, Nathan Legg, Adam Ariel, Toby Jordan, and Darren McKenzie, will also get a free pass here.
And I'm back, gentlemen, and I don't mean to jump in, but
That's all right.
the reason why they didn't come into pit lane, they're getting the wave around with ovals, was if they would have gone into pit lane, they would have lost more time in another lap. So
Copy that.
they've just got themselves back on the lead lap, and they'll see how this race plays out moving forward.
Back to green we go on lap 60, and now into pit lane. No, my lights were lighting up here for no apparent reason at all. The pit lane on our live timing screen has sold us a bit of a dummy. So we're back around. Hang on. A little bit slow. Have we gone under caution again? Straight away. Because we had the green flag there for a lap. I think we've gone caution again. Troy Davidson is the leader. Ruben Phelps is second.
Yeah,
Barry Neal, Brad Allison fourth, and Paul Jackson fifth, Aiden.
Yeah, don't know what's happened there, Zach. We've gone yellow again, and we'll go back to the replay now and have a look at it.
And let's wait and see what's unfolded here. Nathan Button is who we're watching. The 7 parked, and there's 3 cars caught up. That's what's caused the caution. At least there's reason for it. The 7, Mark Smith. The 10, Matt Patton. So he now has no choice but to come into pit lane. We're talking about him getting the wave around, and it hasn't served him anywhere near as well as he would have hoped. And 3 cars caught up in that. Here's the reason for it, and he got sent. Not sure who by, but the 7 gets collected. The 10 clouts him in the front as well. That was it the 183 or the 163 or the 83? I couldn't quite make out the number on the 167 Nathan Button. So the 167, the 7, and the 10 all caught up in that incident. An interesting one, to say the least. Straight off a restart, but you know what they say, Aiden, and it applies to oval racing just as it does, I should say, just as much as it does to circuit racing. Safety cars breed safety cars. Cautions breed cautions.
They definitely do that, my friend. They definitely do. Hopefully we get a bit of green flag running here, moving into the middle to second to third stint of this race. So hopefully we get a bit of green flag racing. You do see there on the outside behind the leader, the Mark 1 esports car, Ruben Phelps, who I said earlier in the broadcast we needed to look out for. And he's there, and he's having a nice and clean race. So look out for him to challenge Davison to the end of this race, but there's still a long way to go. We're not even halfway through.
That's it. And again, this is caution number 4. So the more cautions we get, the longer this race takes, ladies and gentlemen. But looking forward to sticking with you for the duration. There's Ruben Phelps. We're on board with him at the moment. So Davidson, Phelps, Neal, Allison, Jackson, Davies, the top 6 at the moment. Duran, Stove, and Anastakis. So Parry's up 15 positions, and Greg Spencer rounded out the top 10. So Paul Jackson up 16 positions from 21st to 5th. Dylan Davies from 23rd to 6th. Parry Anastakis from 24th to 9th. The big movers here thus far. The biggest loser, Mark Smith, down 12 positions, and also Darren McKenzie and Nathan Button, 16 positions. So the three of them have dropped significantly from where they started. Smith started 7th, McKenzie started 10th, and Brown started 9th. Button started 9th in all of that. So, some substantial drops as much as there have been gains in this race thus far. But one thing remains the same. Troy Davidson led us to the green flag for lap number 1. He's going to lead us to the green flag for lap number 65 as well when we get back underway here. The lights are still on the safety car, so we're going to go around one more time. So it'll be actually lap 66 when we get the green flag. And we are looking forward to this next stanza. And that stanza between the end of the second caution and the third, longest green period of the night, almost triggered a full round of green flag pit stops. The guys that did jump the bullet and go in, they got caught in the lane when the caution was called. So the rest of the field got a free pass on that one. Be interesting to see if we do get a full round of green flag pit stops a little bit later on, Aiden.
Yeah, and I called that on the broadcast there, Zach. I knew that something would happen if they came into the pit lane there. And whenever you're in the pit lane, the yellow comes out, that really hurts you. So they're going to have a lot of work to do to get back up there. But the way that we've seen this race unfold so far tonight, it can be anyone's. But we do see the two, and I cannot pronounce it for the life of me. I say Adiora, but it's not. It's not.
Just spell it for me.
Yeah, let's not do that while I'm live because, can't do that. But we've got the 20. So we've got the 22 of Barry Neal in third, and we've got Paul Jackson, who was nice enough to let us go on board. Well, he was in 12th, moved his car up into 5th position at the moment. They're currently leading the team's championship and doing a stellar job tonight. So let's see if they can actually get a good result tonight. But we do have Ruben Phelps there on the outside, and also I'll let you take over, mate, as we're about to go green. Sorry.
Green flag racing again. You're right, mate. Restart number 5. And let's hope it goes a lot more than 200 metres like it did last time. Through turn 1, 3 wide. They're back there in the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th, if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen. And now they settle themselves out and go 2 by 2 down the back straight. Davidson leads. Phelps and Neal side by side. Neal on the inside. Phelps on the high line. Allison and Davies. They're in 4th and 5th, and Jackson putting the pressure on.
And here we go. Phelps will take it to the inside. He'll have a go here. He's been managing his tyres. You watch this Mark 1 esports car get really quick as we go into the end of this stint. He's going to really make this move stick.
Oh, yellow.
And we've gone under yellow. So
just going to
go straight back to the lead. So really good drive there from Phelps to be able to try and get up there, but he's going to really try and move forward.
And again, the 7 gets caught up, and again, it was a contact with the other car there, the 167 of Nathan Button. Those two are glued to each other tonight for some reason, and it's always a sign of trouble. So for the second time in as many cautions, those two cars are involved. Race control won't look upon that too fondly if they continue to be the cause of the cautions. Let me put it that way. Let's jump in, car, Aiden. You've got the man that's sitting second in the booth.
Yeah, definitely Ruben Phelps, mate. Have you got a copy there from New Zealand?
How's it going, Aiden?
Yeah, good, Ruben. Great drive tonight, mate. Managing that car perfectly. How's your race panning out?
I think I've definitely got a lot more pace than I realised, but finding the right line to effectively make a move at the moment just seems a bit hard. But now the last run, I had a good run, and then a caution came out right at the last moment when I had an overlap. So I still got a lot of pace in here, just managing the restarting, managing the pace, and it'll be good.
Yeah, it looks like you had a really good restart there, mate, and you were going to jump up into first place there. And unfortunate yellow. We've been watching you manage the car over a long run and taking that high line and just managing those tyres. How are you feeling the car's going to be going into a long run at the end of the race?
I think it might be all right. It's just I've just got to keep using the racetrack because I use the high to the low as possible so I can get a good slingshot or manage the tyres, and I'm letting off a little bit easily. So if I can keep managing that, in the long run, I'm going to be definitely, as soon as I get the lead, there will be no losing it.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Thank you for the insight. Thank you for making yourself available for the broadcast. Peter and Zach, is there anything you want to add to Ruben before we let him go and get concentrated before he goes green?
No. We'll wish him the very best of luck because we know he's in the zone at the moment and he's piling the pressure on. You got lucky with the safety car coming out when it did. It almost looked like you guys were destined for green flag pit stops, next minute caution. You get a free pass under yellow, Ruben. That must have been a lucky break.
Oh, yeah, but then now we've had the last 2 yellows on the restart, and as soon as you get the run, it's come at the wrong time. So I would like you to go at least a couple laps so I can get the passing move done.
Well, this is exactly right. But the more we see the caution play a role here, mate, it looks like instead of it being a potential 4-stop race, you guys will get this done in 3.
Let's hope so. There's definitely at least one pit stop, at least so far, if it does go green all of a sudden. But
all right, mate, we'll leave you to it. All the very best. Aiden?
Yeah, no worries, Ruben. Thank you for making yourself available for the SimShed Broadcasting Network for Weekend Warriors, mate. We really appreciate you giving up your time and creating some content there for the viewers and letting them get into your car and seeing what it's like for you guys behind the wheel. So from all us up at the broadcast booth, we wish you all the best, and hopefully we're talking to you at the end of the race.
yeah, sounds good, no problem. Have fun just calling it.
That word you're having trouble spitting out, Aiden, is the same as the name of the Super Rugby New Zealand competition. I think you'll find it's Aotearoa.
Okay, so you can say that for the rest of the broadcast, then, mate. You've got that covered. Yeah.
And if that's in relation, just remind me who that's in relation to, so that I don't muck it up.
The 22 of Barry Neal and Paul Jackson.
And Paul Jackson in the 231. Copy that. If it's the same spelling and everything else, then I've got that right. If not, then we'll sort that out off air a little bit later.
And we actually, and to give you a bit of insight on these 2 cars, we've actually got Barry Neal is actually based in New Zealand. He is in New Zealand, and Paul Jackson is actually out of Albury Wodonga in New South Wales / Victoria on the border.
Lovely part of the world.
But from New Zealand. So, yeah, that's a little bit of a background on those guys.
Now, eventually, when we get into a solid, long enough green flag run, we're going to get you to talk about the little nuances of this racetrack. We just haven't had a chance to do it yet, Aiden. I'm looking forward to hearing your insights into Iowa when we get there. But in the meantime, lights are out on the safety car. We're getting ready to go back to green, ladies and gentlemen. Zach Caban, Aidan Schultz, Peter Gretton with you. Saturday Night Motorsport across the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting, live and commercial-free for you here on a Saturday night, the first one of May. And, of course, significant day for World Motorsports. I was reminded only seconds ago that it was 27 years, of course, ago to the day that we lost the great Ayrton Senna. More on that a little bit later as we gear up for Formula 1 and MotoGP qualifying on a massive weekend of real world motorsport. Our attention returns to Iowa, though, and the sim world, virtually speaking, as we get back underway. Lap 73, and have a look at that. Barry Neal straight away down the inside. Can he get by? No. Phelps comes down to cover the line and block the attack as quickly as he possibly can. And what a restart from Phelps! Straight down the inside. What a run on Davidson. It's the first time in about half an hour that Davidson's looked under any sort of threat whatsoever. New race leader in Iowa. He said he was keen to get it done at the restart, and he set out and got it done.
And I read this, Zach. I read this. I knew what Ruben was doing the whole race. I could see it. And he's got some package underneath him, and his car is quick. So we knew he was going to make it. He was biding his time with his tyres, and now he's made that decisive move. But we're still a long way left. Absolutely amazing move there by Ruben. But let's see if he can keep the car under him over a long run. As we've got Davidson right behind him, still trying to pressure him.
Exactly right. So Phelps sits there as the leader. Davidson, Neal, Allison, fastest lap of the motor race thus far. It doesn't mean much on an oval, but still 23.38, fastest lap of the motor race on a lap where Phelps, Durand, and Jackson also set their PBs for the night as well. Phelps with a 23.43 extends the lead out to 0.4 of a second. It's not enough to get complacent and comfortable here at the moment as they stretch onto the back straight again. Lap 76 for you. We're just past third race distance. And have a look at this further back in the pack as well, side by side. as they come round onto the main straight. I'm just trying to pick up who that is that we're watching there at the moment. It's the SimShed broadcasting car, of course. That's Devon Stowe getting by Paul Jackson into 7th position, and Paul Jackson tucks in behind in 8th at the moment. The longer this goes green, the more these cars spread out, the more likely we are for lap traffic to play a role in some aspect. Oh, just as I say it, I put the mocker on it. Caution number 5. Or is it caution number 6? I can't keep up. Mark Johansson. Here we go. Turn 1 seems to be the trouble point tonight.
Oh, Mark's just turned straight down on the car on
yeah.
the inside there, which is really unfortunate for Mark after a really good result last week. But he'll go back to the pits and go again.
Yeah, I should start making a list of the cautions because I think we've had 5 or 6 now, and I seem to have forgotten where we're up to with regards to that. But lap 78 is where we are. 212 is the target. If you're a betting man, you'd be betting on cautions reaching double digits tonight, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, the safety car is going to get a workout because it doesn't take much for it to be triggered on a short track. Phelps, Davidson, Neil, Durand, and Allison, the top 5 at the moment. Parry and Astakis flirted with the pit line but decided to stay out. Let's talk about the little technical nuances of this Iowa circuit, Aiden. It's been something you've been wanting to do for about 79 laps as we see Mark Smith coming to the pit lane now.
Yeah, exactly, Zach. It's always good to give a little bit of a technical insight into the track for the viewers. So, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, we are here from Iowa, and it is actually the fastest short oval track on the planet. It really is. It's creating good racing tonight, although we've gone under yellow a little bit more than the guys would have liked in the cars, but they've done that. It's actually located in Newtown, Iowa, in USA, in the virtual world of virtual Iowa Speedway. It's 0.85 miles in length, or 1.37 kilometers track length in our metric world, as we do. Obviously, it has lighting, as you can see. They're running under lights tonight, so they're able to run night and day. They have 5 track configurations. So there is an infield Legends configuration, a Legends configuration. They do have a Rallycross configuration as well, a road course, and of course the oval configuration that we see those guys running out there tonight. A little bit of interesting information for you. It was purchased by NASCAR in 2013. And they now own that. And it has a seating capacity of 30,000, has been in operation since 2006. And it was actually designed by NASCAR champion Rusty Wallace at a cost of $70 million in 2006. So there we go. There's a little bit of background into the Iowa Speedway for you guys.
They don't hold back with their costs, the Americans do. Everything adds up into the multi-millions and the likes of money that we'll never see, Aiden.
Yeah, definitely don't. But if they don't do that, we don't have things to race on, whether it be in the virtual or the real world. So thank you to those guys for doing that, to be able to allow us to bring this to you guys, the viewers. So, but as we do, we see Ruben Phelps there in P1. Absolutely amazing drive with Davison in second. Barry Neal down there in P3. Amazing job so far. Ruben has done a really great job. I read that early with the way he was driving that car. If you watch Ruben off this restart, and please hold me against it if I get this wrong, he's going to take a little bit of a wider line, and the way he's doing that is trying to get that long pace run. So your initial input on an oval course is really imperative to your tyre wear. You need as little input as you can to be able to keep that front right-hand tyre under you. So he'll jump the start early. It's on the leader, so he'll go early. You watch him. He'll run mid-track, and you just watch how that car transitions off the corner and gets the drive, because not only is it the front right-hand corner of that of that car, it's also the rear tyres as well, not getting on the gas too early and heating them up.
Another restart coming up, but it's not for another lap yet, ladies and gentlemen. Lap 81 is now in the books. We get on to lap 82. Ruben Phelps, Troy Davidson, Barry Neal, Dave Durand, Brad Allison, Steve Williams, Devon Stowe, Paul Jackson, Tony Gagliardi. Why do I keep calling him Troy? I don't know why. Jamie Nankervis is 10th, and Parry Anastakis 11th at this point in time. Just looking further down the order, Nathan Legg, Adam Ariel, and also Nathan Button are a lap down. Matt Patton is in the pit lane. Sean King and Mark Johansson are there alongside him as well. They haven't moved anywhere for about a minute and two, respectively. Patton's only just hit his pit box now. So we've got a few cars a lap down, but we've got 19 on the lead lap. Lights out on the caution car, on the course car now, and we get ready for a restart. What can Phelps do here? Because it's the first time tonight that he's had to defend his lead off a restart. It's been Davidson all the way until now. And only whilst that caution wasn't long, it was long enough for Phelps to do what he needed to do. Off, racing again, he bolted. Holy smoke, that was a great reaction time. Great restart from Phelps as he hits turn one. Down the inside, Neil gets Davidson. Neil on the inside, you're riding on board with him at the moment. Neil gets Davidson, and Duran went there as well. Davidson's dropped back to fourth. Allison and Williams, I should say, behind him at the moment as Neil follows Phelps through. And all of a sudden, our man that's been sitting at the forefront of this field all night, Troy Davidson, is buried down the pack in position number 5. What a restart.
Yeah, sensational restart there, Zach, and a little bit different there from Ruben as we see in the front. I thought he was going to run mid-track, and he's changed his line and running it very low. Barry Neal's given him a lot of pressure there in second place as we see David Duran there in third, and Brad Allison. And Brad's been very, very quiet tonight. He's been up there in the top 5 the whole time. We haven't really spoken about him a lot, but he's got a really, really quick race car underneath him.
Certainly does. And Barry Neal sitting there at the moment, tucking in. Phelps knows that he's there. Brad Allison, fastest lap of the night, 23.38. At this point, 23.39 was the previous benchmark from Davidson. They make their way through. This is lap 86 of 212. Great to have you company wherever you're tuning in, all around Australia, all around New Zealand, right around the world as well. May 1, 2021. First of 5 Saturday Night Motorsports this month. It's going to be huge because we've got all the action from the Weekend Warriors series, 4 Short Shift Sim Racing magazine for you, right here on SimShed Broadcasting right throughout the month of May. And looking forward to it because it finishes with Memorial Day racing and the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we cannot wait for that. Aidan Schultz will be jumping in the car that night, so yours truly will be in the booth. I reckon Peter will be here along for the ride if he's not in the car as well. Back around onto the main straight. Actually, at this point in time, I've just thought of something that I need to mention in the next caution, so I better not forget that. But 88 laps of 212, and we are commercial-free for the duration. We've had a solid green flag run off the restart here. Let's not put the mocker on that. But the longer this plays out, the more this field will spread out, as I said earlier, the more that traffic might play
Davison
a
there
role.
having a go there. Sorry to cut you off there,
You're
Zach.
right.
We see Davison there just poked his nose up the inside of Bradley Allison there, trying to get his way back up to the front of the field. This is the battle pack we need to watch now. It looks like Ruben Phelps has made a little bit of a gap. These guys are going to battle a little bit. If I was them, I'd probably be sitting down and just relaxing. But look at Ruben Phelps there. He's completely bolted from the pack, as Davison did earlier in the race. So these guys are going to continue to battle. But if they continue to battle, they're going to use their tyres and Ruben's going to get away. But we are still not even halfway through the race. So a lot to be played out yet, and really interesting to see how this is going to play out. If it's anything like Talladega, mate, we're going to be screaming at our loudest with the last 2 laps to go.
Oh,
So
indeed, we will be.
ladies and gentlemen, strap yourselves in your armchair or your couch. If you don't have race belts in your couch, at least go get some rope and strap yourself in because this is going to get exciting.
Indeed, that is the case. Through they come again. Back around onto the main straight. Real tight tussle here. Brad Allison, Troy Davidson, Stephen Williams, Evan Stowe. Good fight for the minor placings at the moment. Phelps, Durand, Neal have bolted. Phelps has put out a lead of 1.45 seconds. He's built that up since the restart here. Neal and Allison follow closely. We're back watching the battle for 5th with Davidson holding off Williams. Stove and McKenzie and Gagliardi. There's a bit of lap traffic playing its role in there as well as they make their way through one more time. Right around the outside. What about that? This is good racing. Short track racing, it's not everybody's cup of tea. And I know many people that'll watch the stock car racing when it's a road course or when it's Talladega or Daytona because they know they're going to see some fireworks. But we can't be disappointed with what we've seen so far tonight. We're on lap 94 as they make their way around one more time. Let's wait and see. Well,
Yeah, Zach,
Durand
just-
and Allison, 1, 2, and 3 at the moment. Sorry, Pete. Was that you or Aiden?
No, that was me, mate. Sorry, mate. I'm the newbie and I'm cutting off the legend. But
All right,
Zach,
go for it.
I was just watching the number 22 and the number 03. They've separated a little bit more, but that battle between Neil and Allison, they were a little heated now. It's sort of gone on to Davison. I think it's Davison and Neil now.
Yep. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Aiden, what are you observing at this point in time? Because Phelps, as you said all night, has the pace. He's set out and proved it, and he's bolted. Has he gone too early?
I don't think so. He has made that car really good on the long run. I seen that earlier where he was taking the wider lines. He wasn't pushing the car too early. I did see Davison went hard too early. But it is about different tyre sets at the moment. Ruben has definitely built a good gap at the moment, but as we've seen in this race, there's going to be cautions probably coming down into the back end of it, so it really means nothing at the moment. Brad Allison has a really, really good car under him at the moment, and in saying that, I'm going to bring him up right into the channel now, and we're going to have a chat to Brad to see how his race is going.
In the meantime, that's Phelps on your screen. We go back to the 03 of Allison, and we're about to hear from him, as Aiden said. He's sitting there in position number 3 at this point in time. Barry Neal, not too far away. Troy Davidson putting the pressure on him at the moment. Stephen Williams in there as well. Devon Stove is 7th. Aiden.
And Brad Allison, have you got a copy, mate?
I certainly have got a copy. How are we doing?
Sensational champion. How's your race going so far? We've just gone under yellow by the looks of it, so we might have to stop talking for a little bit. But yeah, give us a little bit of an insight on how your race is going. There was a good little fight there with Barry Neal around the outside, and your car looked really good on the high side. So let the viewers know how the race is going.
Going all right. Barry's a better driver than me, in all honesty, so he'll probably pick me back up again in a few laps when I've scrubbed my tyres out. Barry's really good on tyre wear, but yeah, enjoying it. I like this track. It's a sort of rhythm track.
Yeah, you've been sort of sitting back there, and I've been saying on the broadcast that you've got a really quick car and you've sort of been biding your time. Any strategies there for the back end of the race and how you're thinking this is going to play out? Do you think you have the actual car pace if this one has a late yellow, or how do you think you're going to go?
The car is certainly probably the fastest one out here. It's unfortunately got me behind the wheel, so that's going to slow it down a hell of a lot.
Mate, come on, you can't pay out on yourself. Zach's been saying in the commentary so much tonight, you've actually done the fastest lap of the race, so you're doing an amazing job, mate. Give yourself some credit. You're up there in the top 3 at the moment, but we do thank you for allowing us to get in your car, as I've said to everyone else, be able to create some content for the viewers and see what it's like from the driver's seat. Anything Zach and Peter want to add before we let Brad go?
No, we'll let him get back to racing because we are in the middle of a green flag stint. So go well, and we'll check in with you a little bit later on, Brad. Thanks for that.
My pleasure. Thanks, gentlemen.
Now, should point out we had a SimSnap iRacing.com photography replay there a little bit earlier, folks. One of the cars decided to leave pit lane before the front panel had been, the spoiler had been put back on the car, hence why we saw that car pull up. But thankfully, we avoided a caution in all of that. So this is now the second longest. In fact, it will soon enough be the longest green flag run of the night. It has been a little bit stop-start, but we hope you've enjoyed what we've brought you over the last hour here on SimSnap, Sim Shed Broadcasting. All a Short Shift Sim Racing Magazine. Ruben Phelps, Dave Durand, Brad Allison, Barry Neal, and Troy Davidson, the top 5 at this point in time. As they come back across the start-finish line, we've got Will Jesberg on screen at the moment, sitting down there in 14th, just minding his own business. Make it 15th now. Up around the outside goes Scott McClintock. Very, very close to a touch, and we're going to get a replay of that for you here very, very shortly. Will Jesberg, oh, geez, gliding through onto the main straight. A big, hairy moment for him there, but he gathered it up and avoided a caution, which is good news there. Still watching this battle. As he's got Parry and Astakis up on his inside there at this point in time. The 27 down the inside. He's going to run a Peugeot at Sydney Motorsport Park in 2 weeks' time. I cannot wait to call him in action there. He's teaming up with Angus Lithgow. Tonight it's all solo for him. Down there on the inside. Parry's into the top 15. Scott McClintock is the next target. Greg Spencer is then ahead of him. And Will Jesberg now back right around the outside. Nicely done. This is an ongoing battle, side by side. Parry's jumping up on the timing monitor to 15th and dropping back to 16th. Now he's slid into 15th comfortably. He got up on the top line and blocked the the attack of Will Jesberg there. Nice driving from a man that's a 2-time race winner in this series already this season.
Absolutely amazing drive there, Zach, from Parry. He's going to have to settle it down, though. He's on the inside there, and that's going to wear up his tyre. Or wear up his tyre. I'm having the same issues you had with being able to articulate tonight. So let's keep pushing through, but he's going to wear his tyres out really quick there. So as we go back, and there's Paul Jackson there and Dylan Davies that we're watching. And Paul's just put it into the wall.
Jackson scrapes the wall.
There's the commentator's curse there.
Exactly. Exactly right. But we avoided a caution. He kept it on the black stuff. He kept it straight. If it had gone sliding, if it had gone looping, we would have been under caution just then. In the meantime, Terry Marwood's in the pit lane right now too, ladies and gentlemen. Be mindful of that. We'll keep an eye on his progress throughout the course tonight. Paul Jackson up on the high line and scraping the wall through 1 and 2.
As we just see the car below there, just getting really loose off the corner. I might leave it to you guys to actually,
copy that.
You and Peter, just have a bit of a call. I feel like I've been talking a lot. We need Peter to get in here and get amongst it and give some of his expert comments. So Peter, mate, take the floor for 15 minutes, mate, and get amongst it with Zach.
Oh, I'm saying expert. Well, that's definitely not the case, but it's been a good it's been a good call lately. I'm only new to the SimShed broadcasting commentary team, and it's been awesome. But look at this, number 22 and number 03. Yep. I was watching them pretty close, and they're side by side. It's nothing like a super speedway. There's no high line, there's no low line. They're just going for it, and this is, like you said, Zach. This has been the longest green period so far. 212 laps, I think, from memory it is, and it's been pretty good. And it hasn't been boring, that's for sure. All the blokes here, the racecraft has been a performance. Shout out to Mark Joe and Weekend Warriors for putting it on. But look at this battle here, 22, 03 and 023. It's like a 5-car battle there, Zach, mate. How good is it?
It is absolutely fantastic at the moment. Neil, Allison, Davidson, Williams and Stove. That's the 5-way battle you were just watching. There's our race leader. Ruben Phelps gone. 3.1 seconds, 3.3 seconds clear of the rest at the moment. Durand is second, clear and comfortable over Barry Neal, and that is that 5-car battle we were talking about. We have gone past half race distance, folks. We are halfway there. A little bit more then, because whilst all that fascinating drama was unfolding on lap 106, we missed the call for the halfway mark. If iRacing had rain, please let that be one of the updates somewhere down the track. We would have had a race, NASCAR style, right about now at 50%. But in of course, circuit racing, that's 75%. But in the sim world, we usually get to 100% of either the allocated time or the laps, depending upon which comes first. Tonight, we've got that potential, just like last week, for a little bit of overtime, and I'm okay with that because what we've seen thus far has delivered the goods. So, down the main straight, we're watching this ongoing battle. Neil, Allison, Davidson. So it's Allison and Davidson you're watching there side by side at the moment. Williams and Stove not too far away. The 5 of them. That's all that separates them. The entry and the exit of turn 3 and 4. Round onto the main straight, another one in the books. Lap 116. We've got cars in the lane as well. Nathan Button still in there as well.
Oh, 3 wide.
3 wide if you don't mind. Why not? Matt Patton, Mark Johansson, and also Sean King have been in there for a substantial amount of time now, I dare say. Their chance of being a contender is done. Look at this. Look at this. Stephen Williams right up there alongside Brad Allison in the 03. Davidson's checked out. He's out in pursuit of Barry Neal right now. So Neal has got a second on Davidson, has 3/4 of a second on Allison. And then it's very tight between him, Williams, and Stove. So that five-way fight has become a three-way fight. And again, that's a mixture of a couple of things. 1, racing line. 2, racecraft. 3, who's going hard on their tyres and who's trying to preserve. Because this is now the longest green flag run of the night. And green flag pit stops may well become an issue at some point here, Aidan Schultz. I'm waiting for it, but we've got lucky so far. Everyone's been able to pit under caution. And they're actually important to note too, a lot of these leaders must be getting close because we've had a couple of cautions since they all come in on lap 55, but we are now 65 laps up the road from when they last stopped.
Yeah, they're definitely getting close to doing green flag pit stops there, Zach, as we watch Stephen Williams putting the pressure on the back of the custom paints and diecast 03 of Bradley Allison. You can see there Brad's diving in really hard, which is washing him up mid-corner, and Steve's just waiting there to make the move, which he's going to do there. And yeah, we're definitely, I'm hoping we're going to get some green flag pit stops here because we're going to see how this is going to play out naturally instead of having the pace car decide who wins the race. But I do need to continue to say that Ruben Phelps has driven a sensational race at the front, and he is gone.
5 seconds clear of the pack at the moment, or 4.5 to be more precise. Lap 121 of 212. Have a look at that. 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 on your screen at the moment. Very nicely done. Phelps Durand 1 and 2 on that note as they make their way through.
As we see Barry Neal there, showing his nose there on David Durand. Is he going to be able to clear him here? No, he's not going to be able to. But you watch, he'll poke his nose down here again. He's going to really try work this low line, but he's really going to have to clear him to be able to come out on exit. So see there, he pushed up a little bit. Now he's got the power down. He's definitely cleared David. He's going to have to keep it down on the low line now. And then, yeah, he's made the move done. David's just given up on that one there.
Nice bit of driving there from Barry Neal to go into second position. So all of a sudden, we now have a fight for second. Troy Davidson will be fancying his chances at climbing in on the back of this as well. Stephen Williams is then a couple of seconds down the road. So we've now got a three-way fight for second, a three-way fight for fifth. And a couple of commentators are going to be very horse in the throat if that keeps up for the next 90 laps as they come back around onto the main straight. That's Kobe Jordan in 14, bouncing back. Will Jesberg in there as well. Scott McClintock too. So Scott McClintock and Kobe Jordan is what you've got on your screen now, the 16 and the 080. Jordan trying to go down on the inside, not close enough to do it just yet, I wouldn't have thought. Round onto the main straight. We are not far away. Oh, jeez, that was close. That was close.
Oh, my God.
Oh, take a breath. Kobe Jordan and also Scott McClintock almost coming to blows there on turn 3 and 4. And that would have triggered a caution. But we are on the precipice of green flag pit stops for the first time tonight.
And we see there David Durand on the outside of 023. They're fighting hard. David, is he going to... No, he's just going to be nice and smart there and just sit behind. As we see Troy Davison, who led a lot of the first part of this race, as we go on there with Dylan Davies. On the inside of Dylan McKenzie, they're giving themselves room. Paul Jackson on the outside as well. Peter, get in, get amongst it. I'll just keep talking, mate. So seriously, get in, get amongst it. And have a bit of commentary with Zach, mate.
I was going to say, that's what you're paid for, isn't it, to talk?
Oh, well, mate. I don't want to butt in and cut you off, mate. I tell you, the people that watch my freelance stuff, I can just talk and talk for miles. But
well, Peter, you've got the floor. You've got me for the next 10 minutes, mate. You take it with Zach. You do it, mate. I appreciate you being in here. So you get
jeez, Devon Stove almost into the wall. He kept it off the wall nicely, but he did come unstuck through turn 1. Big moment there. And this is, again, a talking point. Driver fatigue is going to become a part of this. The longer this race goes, the more green flag running we do. That might have just been a lapse in concentration from Devon Stove there, who hangs with the high line this time, trying to find a way around Brad Allison. This is the battle for 6th on the racetrack. And what's interesting about this is Stove now gets the job done. Allison comes back on the inside, but Stove has cleared him. Very nicely done from Devon Stove up into 6th position. What's interesting about this is also where these guys are with regards to tyre wear, given that most of them are now 75 laps rather. I stand corrected on my own poor mathematics. 75 laps into a stint here. on not just fuel, but also tyres. Yes, we've had 3 cautions in that time, but everyone must be on the limit at the moment, both waiting for fuel and tyres to freshen up when they get back into the pit lane very shortly, Peter.
That's right, mate. And it's not like a super speedway where you just get in, you get behind the guys, and you count down the laps. This is a short speedway. They're doing it pretty much, and I don't want to put the mocker on them, but it's been under yellowed pretty much, give and take the whole race, and we're on screen with 0-2 and 1-6 now, and 1-6 is going to get the job done almost. But it's who's going to get caught out. I think we're thinking they're going to pit under yellow and not get that last yellow. We've been under green for so long now. Who's that? Neil. Oh, so Ruben Phelps is leading them away, as we said in heaps of it. He's doing a great job. Neil and Davison behind him. Just do a shout out to Kobe Jordan. Just made a couple of positions in the 0.80 car, but everyone's driving well. And how good is it, mate? It's a different sort of stage that we seen last week with Talladega, and different strategies as such. And I think people are waiting for yellows, and I think now that we're green and green for a long time, partnerships have been made, and I don't know. I think there's 1 or 2 people possibly that maybe be caught short, hoping for a yellow, and they're probably not going to get it. Let's pray for green to the end here.
Well, I was going to say, if it does go green to the end, we might not get the frantic finish of what we had last week with Talladega, but we will get a clear-cut winner. There's no doubt about that. Now, let's wait and see what might unfold here, because as we were talking about earlier, 134 laps out of 212. We are now 80 laps almost, 79, 80 laps from where all of these guys last pitted. Jamie Nankervis has bit the bullet. He's gone in and now come back out on the racetrack. He's in 15th position. Continuing on. You're right, Pete, go.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I don't want to butt in. You're awesome. You do a good job. But we see on screen now, this 4-car battle's heating up. 98's out in front, and behind them there's, I think there's 3 cars battling out. But it's not the battle that we're used to, well, not that we seen last week. And they're in their own world and their own strategy sort of thing. And they're just going for it. And 162, he gets the position done on 98.
Indeed he does. That's Stephen Williams going back down to 4th position, of course. We're right on board with Devon Stove. He's got Brad Allison behind him. He's got Dave Durand in front of him. He's in 6th position at the moment, back to exactly where he started. So Ruben Phelps up 7 positions. He's the race leader. The big movers are there, 8, 9 and 10. Cole Jackson, 13 positions gained. Dylan Davies and Perry Anastakis, 14 positions gained. They start alongside each other on the 12th row. They're on the inside and outside of the 5th row for a restart if we should get one anytime soon. Greg Spencer is the first of those a lap down. So exactly what I said earlier, Raiden, as you rejoin us in the booth. The cream rises to the top in a long green flag run, and you eventually start to get lap traffic and cars going a lap down. So there are a few guys here that if we get a yellow in the not-too-distant future, they're going to all be craving their lap back and getting a lucky dog wave around.
Yeah, definitely there, Zach. The cream does rise to the crop, and sorry I moved away there. I just
right.
wanted to let Peter have a little bit of time in the booth there and have a call, and he's doing an amazing job, Peter, so thank you for jumping on board tonight. But yeah, the cream does rise to the crop as we see Sean King in the pits, and his car's looking a little bit worse for wear there.
Take that one to the wood heap, I'd say, at the moment. What happened, Sean? Talk us through it, mate.
No, just basically oversteered it and it's concentrated, but that's what it is.
Certainly is. Aiden, you throw in some questions here, mate, because that's your forte with these drivers as they come into the booth. Unfortunately, this is one of our retirements, and there are a couple of them. I don't think Mark Johansson's going to make any more of an impact on this race, nor Matt Patton, but Sean was the first retirement tonight.
Yeah, Sean, unfortunate there, mate. You did say just a lack of concentration, made a mistake. It's really hard on a long race, over an hour and a half. Nearly 2 hours the race will go for, so... you did say that you oversteered it there a little bit and made a bit of a mistake. From the viewers, I didn't actually see the replay. What exactly happened?
Basically, yeah, I just was going hard, obviously, and just my tyres got a little bit cold or worn out, and then I made a mistake going into big roads as well.
Yeah, well, mate, don't know how much damage you got on optionals there, as we see the 7 car looking a little bit worse wear there on the broadcast there, but don't know how many optional repairs you have there. Hopefully you don't have too many. You can get out and even just salvage a result.
Yeah, no worries. No, I can't do it. Too many incident points, so I'm just sitting here and rack up the points, what I've done tonight.
No worries, Sean. Well, thank you so much for making yourself available for the SimShed broadcasting broadcast for the Weekend Warriors iRacing League here from Iowa. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen from all around the world, Australia, New Zealand, thank you to Sean for making yourself available as we see Barry Neal go into the pits.
Absolutely, and it's all for points, so it's all good. Thank you very much.
So pit lane, the hub of activity at the moment. Barry Neal, Brad Allison, Kobe Jordan in the pit lane. So too Will Jesberg and Greg Spencer. Pit lane, the place to be at the moment. Interesting to see that a couple of drivers have managed to eke out nearly 90 laps to this stint. 89, 88 seems to be the number for the rest of them. But already Ruben Phelps still going. Troy Davidson still going. Stephen Williams still going. All on the lead lap. We are on lap 145. They last pitted on lap 55. So 90 laps to the stint. And Ruben Phelps is coming around on the main straight to make it 91. This is a supreme performance from Ruben Phelps. No doubt about that. His lead, he just continues to just ease off into the middle of the night here. You can't talk about cruising off into the sunset because we're already dark. It's a 6.2 second lead now. It is convincing and commanding his dominance at the front of the field since that last restart, Aiden.
And Zach, you're exactly right. But what we've got to watch now, Troy Davidson.
Phelps is in. Phelps is in. Sorry, mate. Phelps is in. This is the critical pit stop right here. Davidson follows him. I'll let him take it from here.
And as I was about to say, Troy Davidson actually took his pit stop a lap or two before. So he's going for the undercut to try and get Ruben, but I reckon Ruben's had too much of a lead. So if Ruben transitions his pit stop really well here, hits his marks, gets his tyres and goes out, it's really his to lose from here on in.
Impressive. Very impressive. The fuel save play from Steve Williams, Paul Jackson and Dylan Davies. Dylan Davies is a little bit of an exception here because he pitted lap 69, so he was out of sequence. He pitted on one of the later cautions. But Paul Jackson and Steve Williams have gone longer than the leaders on this fuel run. And on these numbers, this is the last stop of the race. The last
as
full
we
fuel
see there,
stop.
Barry Neal taken as Ruben gets out of the pits there. Barry Neal has gone in front of Ruben Phelps. So this is really good from Barry. He's done the undercut, but is he going to be able to conserve those tyres? Because we've seen all night with Ruben how good he is on managing those tyres. He's going to come back and be a little bit of a hassle for Barry there at the end of this race.
And the other most notable talking point out of all of that, Aiden, they've taken fresh tyres. They've fueled the cars up. They can now go a little bit harder, knowing that they got 90 odd laps to that stint, and we have 64 laps to go.
Yeah, they're right to go green flag to the end now. So it's who's going to
So they can
manage
go
their tyres
health
better. Yeah, who's going to manage their tyres better and who's going to have a better race car, as we see Darren McKenzie, who I don't know what's happened with Darren during this race. He's really quick right now. He was up there earlier. I don't know what strategy he's done. He did pass Ruben under green before Ruben came in and pitted. He's now on the outside of Barry, and he's got a really strong car, as we see the 023 car there as well.
Ruben Phelps, fastest lap of the night, 23.33. There's a man on a mission. Only just a second ago, of course, Brad Allison had reset his benchmark of a 23.35. So 23.33 now the benchmark for Ruben Phelps. He's the man to beat at the moment. He has been for much of this green flag stint, but he's closed the gap to Barry Neal to within 0.3 of a second. Lap traffic doesn't play a part in this, which is good to see. It gets out of the road, and here comes Phelps down the inside. No! Neal gets across and chops him off and shuts the door and says, you want to work hard for, you're going to have to work harder for this one, son. And he does, because Phelps
Ruben on the
outside. Look at that from Phelps. Straight around the outside. He says, I don't have a problem going a long way round. Just try and stop me.
This is exactly what I've said in the commentary. This is exactly what I've said in the commentary all night, Zach and Peter, is that's exactly where your car needs to be. You can't be down low. It's just going to burn that tyres. So he's minimising that steering input and just keeping that momentum up. And you watch him drive away from Barry now. Ruben Phelps has had an absolutely sensational drive tonight.
It's not over yet. There's still plenty more where that came from. We are 60 laps from home. We are 59 and a half laps from home, to be more precise. Phelps through turn 3. Has the lead over Neil. Davidson, McKenzie, Stove the top 5. Allison, Nankervis, Durand, McClintock and Jackson the top 10. Nankervis, the hard charger at the moment. But he might be in fuel save mode at the end of this race compared to everyone around him, because he needs to get 80 laps out of this last stint. He's pitted 4 times. Everyone else has pitted twice, maybe 3 times, depending upon where they are. The leaders have all pitted twice, with the exception of McKenzie. He's pitted 3 times. But Nankervis is the big hard charger at the moment. 14 positions gained. He sits 8th. He's the last car on the league lap as we see it now. This is Ruben Phelps we're on with at the moment. Let's take an opportunity while we've got this opportunity. We haven't done it all night. Let's crank up the volume and hear the race leader hard at work. You ask and you shall receive, ladies and gentlemen. We have a caution as we crank down the volume for a moment. Kobe Jordan is the reason for the caution. He's come unstuck here at 1, and he's taken the 0-2 with him. Big one, big shunt, and Devon Stove is caught up in that as well. Massive
teammates too there, mate. Devon Stove and Kobe Jordan, their teammates. Zach, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're right. Go for it, mate.
Yeah, I'm good mates with them, Devon and Kobe. They'd be spewing. But
and look at the damage on Devon Stove's car. That one's coming to the pit lane and probably to the back of the garage, I'd say, Aiden.
Yeah, definitely looking a little bit worse for wear rather there for Devon Stove. Yeah, Ruben's just on the dummy pit there, but no one was going to pit there. They can go to the end. So Devon Stove, he's been caught up with a lot of stuff tonight. Unfortunate for Devon, as we are on board there with Ruben Phelps in P1. So we've still got another 50-odd laps left to go, so there's a lot to play out here. And don't be surprised if we do another green-white checker as we did at Talladega, mate.
Bring it on. Hey, Pete, that's worked out really well for a couple of guys here who are a lap down. They get back into the business here.
Oh, definitely. Mark 1 Esports leading the way, and it doesn't matter where you look at them, it's road, oval, dirt, oval, they're quick. And Ruben Phelps is leading the team away. It's unfortunate to see what we've seen with teammates get tangled up, and that's why we're under yellow now. But, you know, that's racing, that's oval. It's short oval racing here tonight at Iowa. And thank you guys for allowing me to call with you. Use the legends. I know you say don't play it, but
definitely don't oversell it. We're not at the end of this yet.
Yeah. Again, mate, I agree with you,
Yeah.
Zach. I'm not going to be able to get out of the sim, but you did mention Mark 1 Esports, so I can actually give you a bit of insight there.
Let's do that.
I was actually a teammate with Ruben Phelps there at Mark 1 Esports before I moved across to Crank Esports. So Ruben Phelps is an amazing driver. He's doing a sensational job. I just know what he's thinking in his helmet there as he's driving. So it's really good to be able to give an insight. But again, second place, Barry Neal. And if you can say right now, Zach, how to pronounce their team name.
I believe it's Aotearoa. If the Super Rugby New Zealand competition name is the same as their team name, I'll get clarification on that later on when I actually see a team sheet. Oh, that's correct. I'm just getting in my earpiece. That's good. Mark Johansson's in the booth for the first time tonight. I just want to get in here and have a quick chat to him before we go back to Green. Mark, the fact of the matter is that the heroics of last week, unfortunately, not going to be repeated tonight. Talk us through what happened to you.
Just short track racer, mate. You know, it's you get a push, and a couple of guys get a little bit too anxious, and it's racing. It's short track racing. You know, we'll car back on the transporter and head to Phoenix next week.
Mark, Aidan Schultz here. Sorry to cut in there, Zach and Peter, but
No,
Aidan
mate.
Schultz here, mate. Thank you for allowing me, Peter, and Zach and SimShed Broadcasting to be a part of your series and to be able to bring the amazing content to your series. Well, we've got you up here. Is there any people you want to make a quick shout out to while we're broadcasting that makes all this possible?
Look, the rest of the admin that work tirelessly through the week while I'm at work, and they do a great job for me. You guys for coming on board and broadcasting. JP at SimShed Broadcasting for all the work he does in the background, and personally my sponsors. A special shout out to Opie's Carts and Parts that helps me out with my real life racing go-karts.
Very nicely done. Lights are out on the caution car there, so we might let you go at this point. Mark, bad luck tonight. Good luck with Phoenix next week. And thanks for stopping by the booth and having a chat to us.
No worries. Thanks for having me, guys.
And on the subject of shout-outs, well wishes go to our own colleague in Andrew Collins as well, because he's resting up in hospital at the moment after coming off worse for wear after a collision with a kangaroo in his car. And I'm being serious when I say that, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, the move from New South Wales to Victoria not off to a great start for our mate. But he'll be back on deck in a couple of days and hopefully back in the booth with us here next week. SimShed Broadcasting's exclusive coverage of the Weekend Warriors. Lights out on the safety car. Let's get back to green here. Lap 164 of 212. Do we get into a rhythm now again of long green flag running, or are we going to have this stop-start affair that we had at the start of the night to get us to the checkered flag? Let's wait and see. Back to green. Racing now. Good restart from Ruben Phelps. Did nicely. Barry Neal under pressure from Troy Davidson right up the restart, and Davidson under pressure from Allison as well. 3 wide further back there in the pack as they come around turn 2.
And Ruben Phelps is absolutely bolted out the front here.
Half a second already, Aidan. He's just absolutely shot out of the gate like a ball at the gate.
But this is where the action's going to happen, 3rd through to 7th at the moment. They're going to really fight for track position as we see them try and settle in. We've got Jamie Nankervis at the back there that's trying to play it easy. As we see now, Barry Neal sending it up the inside of Ruben Phelps. He's really trying to make it honest. Barry Neal's really trying to make a move here. Here he dives it inside of Ruben Phelps.
Yeah.
I told you we were going to really get interested in the back end of this race.
As you've said a couple of times already tonight, Aidan, the bottom is not where you want to be if you want to preserve your tyres. So Neal needs to be cautious of that and how long he spends on the bottom line, and when he decides to just play it safe and have a crack a little bit later on in the race and just follow Phelps around for the time being. He's tucked back in for the moment. Now he can insists on going the bottom line again, as does Davidson. Allison's there and behind him, then Durand and Jackson as well. So Jackson's back up in the top 6 after starting 21st.
And you watch this, as I've said, how hard Barry Neal has been driving it into the corner. He's really trying to get that track position, which I don't disagree with, but Ruben's just playing it safe. And you watch the drive. See how Barry Neal drives it in harder trying to get him, but you watch the drive here that Ruben gets off the corner and he just pulls away. And this is really going to help him on the long green flag run. So there we go, viewers. That's the difference on what these guys are doing. But Barry Neal is really trying to get track position as we see the guys behind them really trying to go. So this race is only just about to start now, ladies and gentlemen. So strap yourself in and get a part of it.
It's just got interesting all of a sudden with that last caution being thrown. And a couple of cars took the opportunity to come to the lane. We've still got Parry Anastarka, Scott McClintock a lap down. Stephen Williams, William Jesberg 2 laps down. So the top 10 that are on the lead lap, including Devon Stover, got back out there after fixing the damage on his car. They are the ones that we've got to keep an eye on here, particularly 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
And we have David Durand now.
Durand!
David Durand around the outside of Brad Allison. There we go. There's my thing on the top line. It's going to work. You watch.
Yeah,
they'll
exactly.
keep dialing it in, and they'll just keep going around. We watch David Durand now pull off the corner in relation to the car in front, and you watch now.
Troy Davidson.
Sorry, mate. Troy Davidson. My apologies.
That's right. No. I was only saying that's the car that you're watching there in Davidson. We are focusing on Durand. You're absolutely right about that. Across the start-finish line again. One of our United States entries. Durand, can he go around the outside again of Davidson? And Neal's just ahead as well.
Have a
and
look at
Durand
that.
going to 3rd. Nicely done.
I haven't done any NASCAR stuff at all. I'm reading this out. I knew what was happening here. You watch David. He's going to actually get around the outside of Barry Neal.
Edge of your seat stuff here, and Neal is defending for his life right now. And now to the outside goes Durand. And he takes Davidson with him, and Allison's there as well.
I hope Ruben Phelps has a big revision mirror at the moment because David Durand is on a mission.
And look at Jackson too. Jackson's crept up into this as well, the 2-3-1. Now across the start-finish line again.
Yeah, and we went on board with Paul Jackson earlier, and it's really good to see him up here. Williams up in the wall.
Steve Williams. He's a lap down, but still happy to throw it around. Phelps, Neal, Durand, Davidson, and Allison, the top 5 at the moment. But you can throw a king-size blanket over the top 6 here. This is extraordinary to watch.
What a sensational race, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry to talk over you again there.
And that's all right. Davidson and Durand. It's still side by side, but it looks like Durand's now got that covered, Aiden.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like he's made that move and got it clear as we see Barry Neal making a move up Ruben Phelps up the inside, so it goes against everything I said earlier.
Exactly.
So we'll see
the
what
wheel
happens
turns
here.
Occasionally.
Yeah, it does. I can try and sound like an expert, but I'm not always an expert. But we see Ruben Phelps on the outside there, and he's covered that position as Barry really drives it in hard. Oh.
He's right there. Can he hold it? The drive off the corner belongs with Phelps. Neal's only 0.02 of a second away. Neal's to the inside. Neal's got his nose in front almost as they hit turn 1. But he then had to balk himself halfway through the corner so he's got to drive into the side of the left-hand side of the car of Phelps, and that cost him dearly. Only 0.2 of a second, but it's still, that's a mile around here. An inch is as good as a mile for Phelps at the moment. He only has to win it by 100. And at the moment, he's got 33 hundredths up his sleeve.
Absolutely amazing driving there from both drivers. This shows the caliber of drivers in this series. Barry really pressured Ruben there, and he just held it on the outside, as I thought he would do, and he's probably going to keep that line, but Barry's a sensational driver, so he's going to come back. He's probably going to sit back, let those tyres cool down a little bit, and come back and have a shot at Ruben at the end of the race as we sit here and look at Bradley Allison fighting there for position with David Durand.
It's almost like the battle of the lines. Hey, guys, it's up, down, and you'll see Phelps and Neal, if hopefully fingers are all crossed, everything's crossed, that we're going to go green to the end here. But I think Phelps and Neal are going to have a good battle. And I even think Davison and Durand and Allison, that's your top 5. I think in the last 5 or 10 laps of the race, it's going to be more of a... I didn't even know, really. It's going to be a good finish. I think these guys are going for it.
It's going to be well worth the price of admission. That's what you're looking for there, Pete. Ruben Phelps, Barry Neal, 0.2 of a second. Davidson closing in. They've gapped Durand. Williams is still hanging, working there on the outside as lap traffic. Allison, Jackson, Davies make up the top 7 at the moment. Barry Neal throwing it in there. Side by side on the exit of 4. And we have 41 laps to go.
And ladies and gentlemen, do not write off Paul Jackson.
No, not at all.
He is definitely just cruising around there, but he's going to have to get some car pace there to get up there. But I reckon that the race is between these top 3 if we go green. I can't wait, and hopefully we can bring one of them up into the booth and have a chat, but it's that crazy at the moment. We want them to concentrate.
Exactly.
So we will do that at the appropriate time if we get the time to do that. But we've got Ruben Phelps there in first with Barry Neal in second, David Duran in third. What an amazing race. Zach, 2 weeks in a row, we've been off our chair. What an amazing series to be a part of.
Oh, it's been fantastic. And there's plenty more where that came from because next week, as you heard, Phoenix the venue. We get stuck into another round of this short shift Sim Racing Magazine Weekend Warriors Tournament. It'll be live and exclusive to SimShed Broadcasting 7:30 next Saturday night. I definitely won't be here next Saturday night because I've got commitments with the Ipswich Jets Rugby League team and the Intrust Super Cup. But Hayden and the boys will be here and bringing you all the action, and Phoenix will throw up some great racing, I am sure, as they come round onto the main straight one more time. We get on to lap 185. We are 28 laps from home. So my apologies. I said 41. It's actually 31, and now it's 28 laps to go. So we're edging closer to the finish here as they continue on. This is our third solid green run of the night. But I've got a feeling there's a sting in the tail, and we've got another caution coming our way at some point before we get to lap 212.
I definitely agree with you there, mate.
To sit there behind Phelps at the moment, and just as I say that, he puts the nose there to let Phelps know that if he slips up, Neal's ready to take up the slack and lead this race from the front.
I definitely agree with you there, Zach. There's another story to be told here. I don't think that this race is said and done at the moment. I think something else is going to happen. So let's strap ourselves in and watch.
Exactly. And Pete, as you know from last week, Talladega, if we do get a green-white checkered, all bets are off, the elbows are out, and they'll be fender bending like we've not seen all night.
I think so, mate. I was unfortunate to get about 5 penalties in the last 5 laps, but it was, you didn't know at all throughout the whole race who was leading, who's not, what position you're in, or what you're not in, and it's just, you just got to consistency really in these oval races. These short oval races, these short races, a little bit different. But Troy Davison, Barry Neal, and Phelps are doing a good job, and we're watching them now. And I don't know, it's going to be a good thing to finish. But like you said, Zach and Aiden, I think it's going to be a twist, mate. It's not like this to the end. There's going to be something to trip us up. But who knows? I guess.
Yep, absolutely. We're also here, I should point out, I mentioned SimShed Broadcasting, I mentioned Short Shift Sim Racing Magazine. We're also here with thanks to SDK Gaming and Abritzi Australia, ladies and gentlemen. So support the people that support us here with the Weekend Warriors tournament on SimShed Broadcasting each and every Saturday night. How good short track oval racing. We thought we might be in for a little bit more of a lackluster affair compared to Talladega, and that's true. We haven't had a big one yet, but we are getting a great contest with regards to and respect to racecraft and strategy play, and it's been really good to watch. Jamie Nankervis has pitted. That should be his last stop of the night. He's out again. Oh, jeez. That's the first foot he's put wrong all night, Aiden. The first one, and it's taken till lap 191.
Yeah, and that's where Barry's putting the pressure on him. So Ruben just needs to have eyes forward at the moment and just circulate and try and get those laps under the belt. As we see Barry pressuring him now, Ruben really needs to keep those eyes forward and not worry about Barry behind him and be able to keep those consistent laps. But good job by all the drivers, and as Peter mentioned, absolutely amazing driving by all the drivers. A lot of these drivers run in other leagues as well, week in, week out, 3 or 4 nights a week. So they know their strengths, they know their weaknesses, and they know how to race each other. And that's why we get so much good content for you, the viewers there at home. And we're not always under caution. Yes, we had caution earlier, and short tracks do cause caution, but generally it's really, really good racing. As we see Ruben there now consolidating and slowly building that lead there on Barry Neal.
And how good is it to sit down on a weekday or a weekend, as it is now, and have a couple of quieties and watch these guys race around, and it's competitive.
Well,
It is
certainly is.
iRacing, but it is competitive, and we all have fun. And like, I've met some really, really good blokes, company included, and mate, you meet all good sorts of good mates, and it is a game, or hold on,
Hang on.
simulator. But everyone here that I've met on here, company included, like I said, is the second to none, mate. And to watch racing like this is better than the real thing, isn't it? iRacing is better than the real thing. JP Simshed, get amongst it. Get amongst it. Saturday nights, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. Get amongst it. It's awesome.
I'll counter that by saying that, like the real world motor racing, the sim racing world, we're one big happy family. We're all mates. There's some animosity once the helmet goes on, etc. and so forth, and that's racing. That's normal. But the only thing that would be better, as far as the real thing is concerned, is we'd be standing side by side in a booth together.
They're making a move.
You're
Sorry
right.
to cut you off there, mate.
So Nan Curvis is sitting 12th at the moment. It's not for position. So Davidson remains third. Nan Curvis is up on the higher line, trying to get back on the lead lap, but he's not going to do that unless he can get to Ruben Phelps and Barry Neal. Now, speaking of which, Phelps, Neal, Davidson, the top three at the moment. Durand and Jackson. That is a battle for position. Jackson down the inside to P4 now. Durand up on the high side, trying to get him back, and successfully does. Big sideways 10 slammer moment for Jackson. And we have just 15 laps to go here on SimShed Broadcasting's coverage of the Weekend Warriors. The only thing that would be better as far as the experience is concerned, boys, is if we were all actually at Newton, Iowa, calling this in person. We'd be sitting there side by side, and then we could go out and have those couple of coldies that Peter was talking about post-race. That would be the only... Yeah, exactly. That would be the only improvement we'd make, and we'd also be soaking up the atmosphere, because a lot of people don't know that as we watch this race, the ambience that you're getting with the car noises is only going out on your broadcast. It's not coming through our earpiece. So we're sitting here in a quiet, very quiet booth at the moment with no atmosphere. That's the only thing I'd change.
Yeah, well, we hope that we're bringing a really good broadcast there from SimShed Broadcasting, and us as commentators. We hope we're bringing that to the viewers at the moment. But you didn't, it would be really good to be at Iowa to have some chicken wings and some beers while
why not?
We're commentating. Yeah. But
Devon Stowe is lap traffic here, just cutting in there, Aiden, because this is the leader. This is Ruben Phelps. He's got Barry Neal right behind him. They're coming up on young Devon Stowe, who is lap traffic. And Stove moves to the inside and lets Phelps go by unimpeded on the outside. Hopefully he'll give the same courtesy to Barry Neal, although Neal does get a little bit balked through turn 3 and 4, but he is okay. Half a second the margin, first and second, lap 202, 11 laps to go in Iowa.
How amazing is this? Sorry to cut you off there, Peter, but how amazing is this? Amazing race. Looks like Ruben Phelps might have this one covered. We still have 10 laps to go. Barry is really driving in hard there low, so lap traffic is going to come into play again, as we've got Greg Spencer in front of Ruben at the moment. But Peter, the floor is yours.
Yeah, mate, what I was going to say is shout out to number 61, Devon Stone. Devon Stove, sorry, I've called him Stone the whole time that he raced in the series that I called for, but Devon Stove, it's with a V, Iridian Sim Sports, and he's also got the magazine, and they do a good job. And he's doing a good job in the top 10. He's 8th position now. He's on screen. Yeah,
and
awesome.
Devon Stove, we should point out, no relation to your kitchen stove either, ladies and gentlemen.
No, definitely no relation.
No relation.
And,
okay.
and he's doing good, because he's got less of a front end on his car at the moment than the kitchen stove does. So,
he
as we hear from JP in the background, he's driving a crushed beer can. So.
He crashed on lap 157, 158. That was what triggered the last caution, of course, and pitted on lap 160. Was in the lane for 44 seconds and said, you know what, if I sit here and get all the damage repaired, I'm going to be out of contention. I want to finish on the lead lap or a lap down or whatever the case may be. I want to salvage something. he's going to salvage a top 10 position if things keep going to plan. So he's actually had an all right night at the office. 7 laps to go. Ruben Phelps, it's not far off. It's 24 past 11 in New Zealand at the moment, edging towards midnight. This is a great result for him if all goes to plan over the next 6.5 laps. Troy Davidson sitting there in third. He's lost ground to Barry Neal, and he's well clear of Dave Duran. So this battle for Troy Davidson is just with himself to get to the line to make sure that the car is still in one piece at the end of 212 laps. Meanwhile, Dylan Davies and Paul Jackson are having a good duke out here. Jackson sitting in 5th and Davies right on his hammer. That's the only position in battle in the top 6, by the way, boys, apart from Barry Neal and Ruben Phelps, but that's very much in Phelps' control at this point in time.
Yeah, look, ladies and gentlemen, I think let's focus on Ruben and Barry at the front. Ruben has had a sensational race tonight, so I think it's really worth to be able to focus on him.
Yeah, not yet, though. Not yet, though.
Oh, I don't know.
Davies is right there. It's only quarter of a second the margin, and look at that. He's edged closer through turn 2. Davies has a real chance of a top 5 finish here. He just needs to find a way by Jackson. Big pressure cooker for Jackson the last 5 laps in Iowa. 4 laps to go. Phelps, Neal, half a second has become a third of a second there as well. If only we had side by side, we'd bring you both battles. But in the meantime, we'd focus on the leaders. Phelps and Neal. Neal to the low side and closes to within 0.2 of a second. There is nothing in this, and lap traffic is going to play a part here as well.
As Jamie Nankervis is up the inside there, and that's what I was saying, focus on the front here because I knew that this was going to happen, and we've got 2 or 3 laps to go. So Ruben's had a really sensational race so far, really clean, but Barry's going to leave nothing off the table at the moment.
Absolutely not. But the good news is we are on to lap 211. We have 2 laps to go.
All right, we're about to get noisy, ladies and gentlemen.
If the caution doesn't fly this lap, the next flag ends the race. Phelps, Neal, Davidson, Durand. I think we're not going to get a green-white checker this week. I think we're going to avoid it. No, not quite. Last lap in Iowa. White flag in the air. Let's bring it home. Barry Neal sits second. Ruben Phelps the leader. Davidson, Durand, Jackson, and Davies the top 6. Davies still hasn't found a way by Jackson, but here's Barry Neal all over the back of Ruben Phelps. The Kiwi in the 06, he's driven a beautiful race tonight.
Two Kiwis.
Than anybody else. The Kiwis are going to clean up, as you heard Aiden correctly point out there in the background. Last turn, checkered flag. Phelps has done enough to get the job done in Iowa.
Mark 1
Not
esports.
Mark 1
Quicken
esports.
every
Number
quicken
1.
every. Oh, they
Barry
quicken
Neal
everything
second.
they drive.
Davidson third. Durand
Yeah,
fourth.
sideways.
Davies
Good
in for
stuff.
5th, and Jackson comes home in 6th. So Davies got Jackson on the last lap as well. If we can get a replay of that, we'll show you. But Ruben Phelps, right it up,
Sideways.
son.
Look at him.
That is a superb performance, and we are about to see some doughies here. But firstly, the positional change for the top 5 finish for Davies on Jackson. Here it was. Down the inside. So the 2-3-1 of Jackson. And Dave Durand. Durand there for 4th. Davies ended up coming 5th. So we're a little bit too far back on the replay there, I think. But the 97s got through on the 2-3-1 in the closing
Here we
stages.
go.
There's the donuts.
And
Rip
how
'em.
much,
Rip
how
'em,
much,
mate. You deserve it. Rip 'em.
how much respect do the other drivers have sitting there watching him do that? Like, that's sensational.
Oh, well done. That was a superb race. Great performance. A Kiwi won too. They've cleaned up late on a Saturday night. There are the results. Not quite for you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get to that very shortly. Ruben Phelps, Barry Neal, Troy Davidson, Dave Durand, and Dylan Davies. Paul Jackson was 6th in the end. We don't, I'm sorry, have a replay for you there of that positional move. Davies on Jackson, but he got it done on the last lap. So whether Jackson made a mistake or whatever the case may be, I'm not sure. In the end, 8 cars finish on the lead lap. Phelps from Neal, Davidson in for 3rd. Ford, Toyota, Chevy, all 3 on the podium. How good is that? Dave Durand, Dylan Davies, Paul Jackson, Brad Allison, And then we go back to Darren McKenzie, Devon Stove, and Pariana Starkus in for the top 10 there. Over the page, Scott McClintock, Jamie Nankervis, Greg Spencer, Will Jesberg, Kobe Jordan, and then Terry Marwood, Adam Ariel. And then you go back to Nathan Button, Nathan Legg, and Stephen Williams. In the end, really, the contenders stopped at the lead lap. There 8 of them only on the lead lap in the end. And outside the top 20, Mark Smith, shocker of a night for him. So too Tony Gagliardi and Matt Patton, Mark Johannesson, who we've already heard from, of course, and Sean King with Daniel Aguilera Bates, the non-starter, in a smallish field, but a field that delivered some high-quality entertainment. So whilst we didn't have the quantity of last week, Aidan Schultz, I don't think anyone can argue. We certainly had the quality.
Oh, definitely had the quality. That was amazing. We always wait for the last couple of laps of an oval race. And again, we were trying to talk over each other because we get as excited as each other. But yeah, no, absolutely amazing to be a part of it tonight. These guys put on a really amazing show. There were a couple of yellows early, which was unfortunate, which is going to happen on short track racing. But as we got on to the back end of the race, it was sensational racing with strategy. Ruben Phelps drove an absolutely sensational race. He kept his car clean, and so did Barry Neal. Barry pushed him all the way, but Ruben did a really, really good job to fight him off at the end. So great racing. Hope we gave you a lot of good content to be able to watch, and looking forward to be able to do next week. And Zach, again, thank you for jumping on as I'm anchoring this series, but thank you for jumping on and anchoring it tonight and helping me out, as I didn't realize we'd have anyone to be able to to be able to do it. So thank you so much. And Peter, thank you, mate. You did an amazing job tonight, and hopefully you can jump in the booth with me again moving forward. But anyway, let's concentrate on the winners. And
yeah, we'll get the post-race interviews underway. I was going to say just before that, I want to get a comment from Pete. A, cracking finish, but B, what'd you make of A, the race, and B, being in here as a debutant in the Combox as far as Weekend Warriors is concerned, alongside Aidan and I on SimShed?
Well, firstly, I everyone that knows me outside of broadcasting and stuff, and I do my I'll just do a sneaky little plug there, JP. Outside of broadcasting with you guys is LRE Sports, and everyone that knows me inside of that is I can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And to just sit alongside you, I didn't get much words in, but you know what? I was satisfied. The racing was awesome. Sitting next to you guys virtually and talking. You guys, mate, SimShed Broadcasting, JP, Zach, Aidan, Matt as well. Hopefully you're watching. And Andrew, get better in hospital, mate. Get better. Jump
Absolutely.
in. These guys are absolutely fantastic. It was awesome, mate. Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved every single moment of it. And Mark, Joe, and all the crew here at Weekend Warriors, thank you. It was a good experience. And anytime you need a commentator, I'm here, mate. It was great.
I'm sure Aidan Schultz will be taking up on that offer in the next few weeks, and me again on Memorial Day weekend. We'll get into the post-race interviews in just a moment. Here I'll ask a couple of questions. Aidan will throw a few out. And Pete, if we miss anything that you might want to throw in as well, mate, feel free to do so here as well. We've got Troy Davidson. We've got, of course, Barry Neal, and we've got Ruben Phelps here as well. We'll get to them in just a moment. Interesting observation from Peter's comments, Aidan. It's always interesting when you put 3 have-a-chats in the same booth. Usually only 2 manage to actually succeed in having that reputation. And poor old Pete was left behind tonight. But, hey, great work from everybody and another great race from these drivers on circuit here. Let's get stuck into the interviews. And we'll go with Ruben Phelps firstly in the 06. Ruben, you'll be pleased to know, mate, you got the trifecta. You led the most laps, you had the fastest lap, and also a clean race as well. So you've cleaned us out tonight, mate. Well done.
Well, the fastest lap definitely surprises me, but never been that dominant.
No, that was a tremendous performance, mate. As Aidan said, you were biding your time, but from the moment you got to the lead, you pretty well stayed there. 1 or 2 little aggressive attacks from Barry Neal along the way there, but you owned that race tonight and are a very worthy winner. But I tell you what, Barry didn't make it easy for you there in the closing laps.
Oh heck no, especially in those last, I think those last 20 laps were definitely fine, especially when I got to the lap traffic, because they got out of the way, but they would get out of the way right when I would come off the corner, so it burnt my tyres up quite a fair bit every time I had to get past one, and of course after that Barry was biding his time even more than me, and then once he got to the last 10 laps he was right there, and I just had to basically use as much of the racetrack and go as fast as I could to keep him behind.
I
Yeah,
think what was it in the end, Aiden? I think we had race start was around 7:40, so not quite an hour and 50 of racing there in the end. So not too bad, considering that at one point there, if the cautions had kept playing out the way they were, it would have been 2 hours easy.
Yeah, definitely. And Ruben there, mate, Aiden Schultz here, mate, congratulations. Really proud of you, mate, as an ex-teammate. Absolutely amazing drive. I saw what you were doing with the car and how you were trying to transition that through to the end of the race with not going so low, working with your tyres, working with everything. So, yeah, mate, from me personally, absolutely amazing drive. I'm really proud of you for being able to bring that one home. But how do you see that the race played out with Barry being absolutely amazing as he always is?
Oh yeah, no, as soon as, because on that restart, because obviously I had a bit of a run and I thought, oh yeah, got a bit of more grip than I realised. So I had to get that lead first so I can really manage the pace a lot better. So of course, when you're in the traffic, it's really hard to pass. So once I made that clear thing when I get the lead, I just took off from there and just tried to manage it. But of course, Barry definitely managed the pace way better than the majority of us.
I have to ask a question here of you, Ruben, as well, and I'll probably throw the same question to Barry and Troy as well. Were you surprised by the fuel mileage there in the what was it, second stint? Because you all come in and topped up on lap 55. We were of the belief that was a pretty good time to pit under that, what was it, third or fourth caution. In fact, it was the third because the fourth one followed closely by. The fact of the matter is, though, you then went and got 90 laps out of the stint. Where were you guys as far as tyres and fuel were by the end of 90 laps? Because we knew tyre wear was going to be the big talking point tonight.
When I done the pit stop, I was about 0.7 under, when I think 0.7 under when we got to the start of the run. But as the laps went down, I noticed that there was a lot of fuel was definitely saving. So I think we gained maybe 0.1 gallons on the run. So
yep,
we could actually do more than what it was showing. So, but then of course you got to still manage the tyres at the same time. So
how difficult was managing the tyres, especially considering that it was a pretty long green flag run there in the middle of the race?
Yeah, instead I was sort of taking it easy, but the back markers sort of trying to get around them sort of burnt my tyres up. But other than that, doing that saves a little bit of gas here and there, but it wasn't too much of an issue for me.
All right, stay with us, mate. We'll come back to you very shortly. We're going to be here till about 10 o'clock, folks, wrapping this round of the championship up, looking ahead to Phoenix as well. And we'll get these guys to thank their sponsors as we go. We got Barry Neal and Troy Davidson standing by for us. Let me go firstly to Barry. A Kiwi 1-2. Unfortunately, you're on the wrong side of that equation there, Barry. But by G, you made it tough for him in the closing stages. What do you think the difference was tonight?
Oh no, Ruben just drove a great race. Actually, nothing apart from that. He just was able to, especially in that first, he kind of ran away and then could come back a bit at him, but I couldn't come back enough. So no, he just did a great job.
Yeah,
sorry, Aidan, I'm just going to ask one more question here. Then you can go, mate. Big discrepancy between, obviously, 1 week we're on Talladega, a big super speedway, big adjustment to then go and race on a little short track like Iowa, but it threw up a great contest from our seat here in the booth, and hopefully for the viewers at home. What do you make of Iowa as opposed to Talladega last week?
Yeah, I wasn't there actually, but I'm not a fan of super speedways. I don't enjoy them at all. I much prefer the anything else. The mile and halves and these things. I love these things where you can manage your tyre wear. So any track where you can manage tyre wear, I like.
Aidan?
Yeah, and Barry, Aiden Schultz here, mate. We run a lot together, mate. Sensational drive for a second place there. Really good to watch and really good to commentate on. I saw in the last couple of laps there, you did put your nose in there and was really trying to have a go there at Ruben. Did you think you really had something for him, or you were just trying to make him make a mistake?
No, like I'd tried a few times through the race to get underneath him, and I'd never quite been able to pull all the way past. But it's no harm in trying. I've got to keep trying. I can't run outside lines. Whenever a track demands that I run around the outside, I am rubbish at it. I keep hitting the wall, so I can only ever go underneath people. I need to practice going above people. So yeah, that's just my normal line anyway. So I'm kind of lucky in the sense that diving down like that into the apex and going around is my normal line. So it's just a worry on the way out. When there's a car outside, you can't quite accelerate as quickly, and they kind of pull away a bit again.
Well, the fact that you could run that low line and keep that tyre wear underneath you just goes to show the quality driver you are, mate, to be able to do that. So congratulations on the second place, mate. It was absolute stellar drive and a really good and really amazing to call. So congratulations.
Thanks, Ed.
Let's get to our pole sitter now, Troy Davidson. Pole was good. You led for a good half of the opening 100 laps or so, but then Ruben went by and then just sailed off into the sunset. What was the difference tonight from your point, mate?
Oh, I just pretty much put it down to experience. I'm pretty new to all this iRacing, and I felt like I had the speed early and sort of surprised myself qualifying, and then thought I might have got swallowed up, midway through the first stint, and just kept a pretty good lead. And just on the restart, I sort of got caught napping a bit, and I could see Ruben had the speed and sort of Barry as well. And like I say, I just didn't want to get caught up in any wrecks. I'm just experienced, just trying to sort of get used to it all and just sort of let him go a bit and tacked onto the back of him. And yeah, it was a couple of good little battles, but yeah, those guys have just had the speed towards the end of the stint and obviously managing the tyres. And I was just happy to bring it home in third in the end, to be honest.
Interesting race because the first 100 laps was, I guess, a start-stop sort of hit-miss affair with the cautions. And then we had that long green flag run. Same question that I asked to Ruben for you. Where were you with regards to tyre? Where were your tyres crying for mercy, begging for a stop after that long 90-lap run we had?
Oh, they were a bit. I didn't find too big a drop-off through the whole race. Obviously, there was tyre wear, but I was just sort of running the similar line to Barry, I think it was, and just sort of trying to manage. Like, it was probably a second or so in a lap, but it wasn't too bad. And just managing my position to all the other cars, and I thought, well, they're holding on not too bad. And, just managed to hold my position. And, there was tyre wear drop-off, but it wasn't too bad, I didn't find tonight.
Exactly. I'm sure Aidan Schultz has got a couple of follow-up questions, and then we'll get Peter in here to see if he has any questions to throw your way as well, and the other two drivers from New Zealand as we go along here. Aidan, the floor is yours.
Yeah, Troy, mate, thank you. Thank you there, Zach. Troy, amazing drive there for P3. You had a sensational car early, qualifying off the front, leading the race for the first 50-odd laps. Did drop back a little bit, but really good to consolidate there for a P3. I really don't have a lot more to ask you, actually, because Zach has pretty much covered it off. But did you think if you didn't drop back there through that pit stop transition that you would have had something for the front guys, or do you think that that's what ruined you to be able to fight for the lead?
No, I think I had the speed, honestly. I just, like I say, fairly new to all this and just wanted to sort of consolidate myself into a, podium finish was perfect for me. It's the best I've done. So I probably could have felt like I could have pushed with those guys, but just wasn't sure if I had the experience to battle it hard right to the finish. And last thing I wanted to do is take anyone out. So, like I say, I was happy to take P3 and well done to both those guys. They definitely had the speed.
Let's get Peter Gretton in here for some comments, mates. Anything that you want to ask the boys while they're here?
Yeah, first off, thank you for JP Simshed Broadcasting for giving me the opportunity to get up amongst it with you guys. You do an awesome job. But first off, hey, Mark, I know you're in here. I know last week was a buzz and this week was probably a buzz kill. You didn't probably have the the race that you envisioned. But Mark, as a league organizer, you got to keep all them knuckleheads, including us, in line. How'd you find this week, mate?
I actually thought we may have had a few more cautions with it in the short track that it is. But everyone seemed to behave themselves towards the end. And, it's always that first little bit where people tend to get to settle in and then they go to green flag racing.
Well, Mark and Aidan, this is one for you. On the back of what Mark said there about suspecting or thinking we might have had more cautions, and don't worry, I think we all had the thought there after the first half an hour. It comes back to what Aidan was saying, or it might have been Pete actually, very late in the race, that these guys are pretty experienced campaigners in these cars. They have a certain skill set with an association with these cars because they're running 3 or 4 times a week. So just experience comes to the fore there, which is why once we got into a rhythm after, the first 50 laps and the 4 cautions that we had there, things started to settle down a little bit, Aidan.
Yeah, they most definitely did there, mate. These guys do run with each other 3 or 4 times a week in different leagues, myself included, also Peter. There's a lot of respect by everyone that runs all these leagues, and it's really, really good to be a part of it. And from a commentary side of view, it's really good. So kudos to everyone that runs in these leagues, and especially we're talking about Weekend Warriors tonight. So kudos to everyone that run. There's a lot of respect by all these drivers that race against each other. They know their racecraft. They know what they do well. They know what they may not do so well. And that's why we get such brilliant racing to be able to broadcast here on the SimShed Broadcasting Network.
That's right, mate. And I'll just cut in before Zach gets in. But, the broadcasting is as good as JP is, and, what I do freelancing, and you as well, Aidan. We're only as good as the guys on track. And people say, yeah, sure, it's only a game or simulator or whatever they say. But you know what? I love it. I absolutely love it. I love calling it. I love racing it and being part of, JP SimShed. Hopefully this isn't my first and last, but, everything I do freelancing and, you guys are awesome, and all the sponsors and everyone that comes on board. It's a good night. I absolutely loved it. Thank you, everyone involved.
It's not a bad way to spend a weekend when you don't have a social life like me, Aidan.
I've got a beautiful partner, but she supports me on this 100%. So it's funny you say that, Peter, that you say it's just a game, but a lot of us have sponsors, and I've got sponsors as well for my personal streaming, different things, and you actually can get paid to do it, which happens. So it is just a game, but it is very
it's
serious.
Much more at the same time,
a lot of people putting a lot of stuff and time and effort into it. So these guys are there, and that's why it's so important for us to allow them to be able to share their sponsors and to show stuff, because this goes to a lot of people to be able to view it. So we really appreciate it, and there's broadcasting networks like we're on live tonight with SimShed Broadcasting, which allows to bring that to all the viewers, and we really appreciate to be able to be involved, to be able to just have our voice on that.
I'm just going to jump in.
Go, Mark.
I'm going to say that I can see within 18 months, I'd say, it'd be someone out of Australia or New Zealand running in the NASCAR series. The level of competition over the three leagues that are running in Australia and New Zealand at the moment has just jumped unbelievably.
Well, as has just been correctly pointed out to me, highest growing esport in the world, over $12 billion in US revenue. That's US dollar revenue in the last 12 months. Now, we can all sit here and obviously highlight the bleeding fact that this is put down to a big thank you to COVID. But at the same time, that is an incredible amount of money to be plunged into a sport that has really risen to the fore over the last 12 months. There's no doubt about that. On the subject of what Aidan said, we have sponsors as well. We'll get to them shortly. Of course, we'll let the drivers thank their personal sponsors. And I think I think just going back off what Peter was saying, there are two things there. You're only as good as your last broadcast, or you're only as good as your last race, depending upon whether you're a commentator or a driver. And again, from a broadcast standpoint, the production is only as good as the show that's on offer. And some nights we get it right. We have a brilliant, cracking show. We've been very lucky 2 Saturday nights in a row. Some nights you get a little bit of a lackluster processional sort of affair, but they are the nights that, if you persevere with us, make you appreciate the really good nights. And we've had 2 crackers so far. We can only hope that Phoenix delivers in a similar fashion or a similar sense to how these last 2 weeks, Talladega and Iowa, have delivered. Let's, at this point in time, guys, I'm going to come back to you in just a moment. Let's have a look at the championship standings because they're ready to rock and roll at the end of the 12th round of 35. So we're a third of the way through the championship now after the Iowa 300 for the Weekend Warriors. With thanks to Short Shift Sim Racing Magazine, Britzy Australia, Simshed Broadcasting, and SDK Gaming. Darren McKenzie, the man to beat at the moment, 282, plays Stephen Williams, 277. So even though McKenzie was on the 8th tonight, he maintains the championship lead. Williams has held on to second position there, despite finishing well down the order in the end. In fact, he only come home 20th. McClintock on 268. Walden missing from the grid tonight on 260. Dave Durant 253. Mark Johansson on 222. Kate Donnelly on 214. Paul Jackson 205. Dylan Davies 202. And Ruben Phelps 201 with that win tonight, catapulting him up the order. 81 points, covers the top 10 at the moment. There's the rest of it rolling through for you. Have a look at it at your leisure, ladies and gentlemen. But you'll have to be quick readers because JP flicks through that pretty bloody quickly. Mark, it's a bit of a small field tonight. I mean, we had about 40, didn't we, last week with Talladega? Were you surprised by the drop-off? Of course, bearing in mind that it's a long weekend in some parts of the country, real-world commitments creep back in. Were you a little bit surprised at the drop-off of 15 there or so, whatever it might have been this week?
No, not really. There's a couple of guys that were going to run and they've had to pull out for family things. But short track racing, same as circuit racing, it just doesn't seem to draw the drivers that you normally get. I was expecting about 30, so yeah, bit disappointing. But hey, that's next week. We'll see how we go again next week.
It is just seeing on the screen there, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, upwards of 60 drivers have already been involved in this series so far this year, so it's exceedingly popular. But the fact that it's on a Saturday night, which is usually a night for you, to take the partners out to the cinemas or go out dancing and drinking or whatever the case may be. Exceptionally popular series right here, the Weekend Warriors. Let's get back to the drivers and turn our attention towards next week, boys, because we go from one short track to another. This one a little bit longer. It's the Phoenix Speedway in Arizona, according to what Mark was saying earlier. I haven't seen the full schedule, but I'm just going week to week. So it's Phoenix, the next stop. So again, we break away. We break away from the old traditional NASCAR schedule because they're obviously in Kansas this weekend. They go then. I know it's not Phoenix next weekend because Phoenix is towards the back end of the season. But we were both at Talladega last week. So it's interesting how all that unfolds. But let me go to the race winner in Ruben Phelps as it approaches midnight there in Kiwi land. Mate, what are your thoughts on Phoenix? Obviously, you're taking a lot of confidence out of this, and you're now, as we just saw, sitting in the top 10 as far as the outright championship is concerned.
Yeah, Phoenix is actually quite a good track. It's just, if you don't get your line right, it's really hard to get the grip, and then of course the chaos that you get at the dog leg there. So, and of course, I can't wait if there was ever an update on iRacing, they put the start finish line down there finally in iRacing. God, it's gonna be a mess. But Phoenix is okay. I just gotta get some more laps around there. It's one of my tracks that I'm still trying to figure out.
Well, let's just elaborate on what Aidan was saying about the time and effort that goes into iRacing for all the people that want to say it's just a game or it's just a simulator or whatever the case may be. How much work went into tonight for you?
Funny enough, tonight was the first time I actually drove a cup car around Iowa.
Oh, wow. Just
showing off.
Just shoot us out of the water there with his statement, ladies and gentlemen. No time whatsoever. He just jumps in and goes and catapults and smashes the competition, Aidan.
Yeah, Zach, this is Ruben, though. He's a bit of a freak, though. So he can jump in anything and
given.
go fast. So
Yeah.
he did an amazing job tonight. But we talk about Phoenix ISM Speedway. It's going to be interesting next week. It's very different with how you have to drive it. So can't wait. It's not so much a short track at all. I don't call it a short track. I wouldn't say it would be a short track, but it's going to be interesting. Turn 1 and 2 is very tight with an open exit, and then through the dog leg, and then obviously being able to keep that car under you through 3 and 4, and it's loose out of 4. So excited for next week. Can't wait to commentate it. I digress, but yeah, sensational drive.
Just going back to what you said there, Ruben's a bit of a freak, but we talk about it every week, and I mean, Pete, you and I all work across different broadcast platforms and with different organisations and whatever the case may be, but the one thing that dominates conversation is that some people who are very, very good and at the top of their game can hit the mark straight away, like Ruben has done tonight. Others, they need their confidence, for their morale, for a few other factors, mentality, and a few other things. They need that time in the rig in preparation. They want to be well aware of what they're setting themselves up for before they get in and do it on race night.
Yeah, mate, definitely. And when I broadcast my freelance stuff that I've got going on, the rules I got is in Discord and party chat and all that you know, I want to get the in-race commentary, you know, so when they're doing the lap, that's what I want. I want commentary for that sort of stuff. And if you're a fast guy, well, then the rules are different for you. But for normal people, it's across the use when yous are safe. But if yous are fast and winning everything, well, the rules are reversed. If you're in the chicane, I'm crossing to you just to stuff yous up, you know?
Yeah, just to see if they can handle it. Yeah, exactly.
That's right, mate. And, you know, and this is awesome. I love doing this stuff. And, you know, people say it's just sim racing. It's just, you know, piss off, all right? Just, you know, this is awesome. It's absolutely awesome. I loved calling this race with you guys, and I love watching you guys do what you do. And there's nothing better, I don't think, to be honest.
I'll second what Pete said almost within about 95, 98% of what he said.
With no profanities.
Yeah, exactly. Your thoughts on all that, because I mean, Pete's just taken that in a very different direction. But there are some guys here that, as I say, they can hit the marker straight away. There are others that they need to put the work in to set themselves up to be ready to be on the pace when we go green.
Yeah, look, to be honest, Zach, I'm probably a little bit too close to a lot of these drivers, running with them every week to have too much of an opinion, because...
where's that ticket when you need it?
I like to think I run hard with these guys and have had some really good races, beaten them, lost to them, whatever, but you're exactly right in what you're saying. They do need to put in a little bit of effort. A lot of them do. They run, like I said, they run in other leagues 3 or 4 nights a week, so... It's not necessarily about just the track. It's just doing laps and getting around and getting to know the people that they're racing against and what they do, how they race. We all have lots of conversations outside of this about things that we may do right or we may do wrong through a race, so we know how to be able to create a clean race and to be able to do it really well. So that's what I love about iRacing. I love about this series. I love about any series we do in iRacing. Everyone respects each other. They'll give you opinions. They'll tell you where you go wrong. They'll tell you where you go good. And it's all about just accepting those opinions and trying to make it better. And we're seeing that through the Australian iRacing community, especially on Oval, so much more through this series, Weekend Warriors, ANSCAR, different things that you can join where people are getting better and better because it's an iRacing community. And that's what I love about it. And that's what I love about being able to commentate and be a part of it. Obviously, I've got my own league, which I will not even talk about tonight because this is all about Weekend Warriors. But I know what it's like to be able to run a league. I know what it's like to be able to create content with JP from SimShed Broadcasting, with everything he puts in to be able to bring this to Weekend Warriors and everything. So it's just a big community and I love it, mate. It's great. And that probably goes on the back of what Peter said, you know, that's why we love it so much. We're all friends here.
100%. Hey, just to bring it back to the drivers as we finish up here, boys, we're going to go a couple of minutes over time, but that's nothing new for a broadcast as far as my involvement's concerned anyway. Brilliant comments from Aidan and Peter there. Let's get the thoughts. I just wanted to go back to Ruben, actually. Ruben, because you're now in the top 10 as far as the championship's concerned, and you mentioned that's the first time you drove a Cup car on Iowa. Is that your first win this season in Weekend Warriors, or were you on the board before we got going with our broadcast deal here?
It's definitely my first win of Weekend Warriors, so I think
So-
that actually, because I've been in the other league, I actually might have just won a spot into the All-Star.
Oh, very nicely done. Well done. Hey, Aidan, that's incredible, isn't it? Because we had, I think our stats sheet that got sent through to us before we picked up the broadcast rights here said 8 different winners in 10 races. Well, it's now 10 in 12. So the list just keeps growing, which goes to show just how tough this series is going to be across the course of the season.
Yeah, it definitely goes to show how tough it is, but it just goes to show the quality of the competition, to be honest. And don't be surprised if we see a different winner next week as well. It's been amazing to call tonight, and I can't wait for next week. I'm really excited from Phoenix.
It's going to be fantastic, and you are leading the way, so expect the Strepsils to be well on the radar for you at the end of the broadcast next Saturday night. Let's continue the conversation here. Barry Neal, what are your thoughts firstly on Phoenix? And again, we're a third of the way through the championship. What's your plan of attack going forward? Are you happy with where things sit, or are you thinking long game and just taking it one race at a time?
Yeah, like as you've previously discussed about Saturday night, I often go away for work on Saturday night, so I missed a few of the rounds, so the whole championship thing's not really on my radar because I'll probably miss another 5 or 6 rounds.
Yep.
So yeah, so I just like to come in and race one race at a time and just try to do as well as possible and try to do well with Paul for the team's championship.
And will you actually? I missed it in there, mates. Did you say something about missing Phoenix, or will you be on the grid next week?
No, I'll probably miss Phoenix.
Okay, copy that. All right, no point asking you about Phoenix then. But obviously, we look forward to your presence in the booth in the server, I should say, as the season goes on here. Whenever you can make it in. Again, that just speaks volumes, ladies and gentlemen. Saturday nights don't always work. Again, that works from a commentator's standpoint as well. I won't be here until Memorial Day weekend. Let's go to Troy Davidson on that note. Please tell me you're going to be in Phoenix next week.
I wish I could say I am, but it'd be like Barry. I'm just away next week, so unfortunately as well. But yeah, I've sort of missed a few of the start races early in the season as well. So I'm just trying to get in whenever I possibly can because it's absolutely loving it at the moment.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So expect Ruben Phelps to be here next week. Expect Aidan Schultz to be here next week. But as for the rest of us, it's very much either a no or a TBC. I know I won't be here next week because I've got real-world commitments with the Ipswich Jets rugby league team here locally in the Intrust Super Cup. And then the weekend after, it's the Sydney 300, some real-world motorsport, and then some Queensland Touring Car Championship action as well. So then back for Memorial Day and looking forward to it immensely. I think that might do us on that note. So let's get some driver thank yous for sponsors here, starting with you, Ruben, and working our way down the podium, please.
Well, I've got to thank Mac One Esports for allowing me part of the team, David Dallas and Riley Curtis. But I've also got to thank Aidan Schultz that he actually was the one who brought me into the team by asking around before he just made his departure. So thought I would throw that one in because I forgot last time.
Thank you, mate.
Very nicely done. All right, let's go to you, Barry.
And I'd like to thank MRX Race Sims and RTL Racing.
I was going to say also, Ruben, you can probably thank Aidan that his prediction that you would win tonight wasn't the kiss of death and the commentator's curse as well. He had money on you as soon as we got through those safety car periods. I never got to ask the boys for a tip tonight, but Aidan was on your shoulders every step of the way there, mate, so you carried his weight nicely. Let's go to Troy Davidson for some thank yous now, and then we'll start to wrap things up here.
Sim Boys Racing Team, great bunch of blokes that got me into this, and yeah, they've been great to sort of just work with, and just the girlfriend for letting me spend a lot of time on it, and just all you guys for doing what you do, Mark for the series, and you guys with the broadcast. It's unreal.
Well, we're glad that you're enjoying it so far. We're only 2 weeks into, well, the rest of the season, and it's still another 23 rounds to go.
I think, Zach, quickly before you
Yes,
wrap
Aidan?
up, I think that I'm going to have to go and get sponsorship from Strepsils.
Absolutely, because you had me here to save your backside tonight, but otherwise you probably would have lost your voice again as well. Let's
Two
go.
nights in a row, so definitely,
Exactly.
struggling.
Let's go around the grounds, actually, boys. I'm going to give you some score updates here before we get stuck into wrapping things up. The Brumbies have defeated the Force to now set up a match against the Queensland Reds in the Super Rugby Grand Final next week. That was the preliminary final tonight. In the AFL, the Lions have obliterated, and I would correctly point out obliterated, Port Adelaide 93-44. Meanwhile, late in the fourth quarter, Geelong lead Sydney by 4 points. So unless someone can weave some Nick Davis magic, a la 2005 when they faced off in the semi-final at the same ground, it looks like Geelong are going to walk away with the points there tonight, but never say never. In the NRL today, the Panthers over the Sea Eagles in my old stomping ground, Bathurst, by 28 points to 16. The Eagles over the Bulldogs, 32 points to 10. And the Roosters, 38-4 over Newcastle. And, of course, we've got MotoGP and Formula One qualifying coming up. MotoGP qualifying getting underway at 10 past 10. Apparently, I read, I haven't got the results on me, but I read that the top 7 were within a tenth of a second of each other in free practice 3. So really tight in MotoGP as they head to the Spanish Grand Prix, the fourth round of the season. And, of course, Formula One qualifying coming up at midnight as well. So you can watch the bikes, then the cars on the back of the entree that is NASCAR on a Saturday night. We're looking forward to more of the same where that came from. Of course, don't forget IndyCar qualifying tomorrow morning as well from 6 a.m. and the race from 9 a.m. on Fox Sports 506 and 507, respectively. Qualifying on 506, race on 507. Let's have a look ahead as far as SimShed broadcasting is concerned, because there's plenty on here too. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Saturday nights. Lock it in. Tuesday night, round 12. Christ. That's gone quick. Round 12, Nationwide Tracking Systems V8 Super Series. The second and last Super Sprint round for you. Reverse grid racing from Donington Park features as race 2 on Tuesday night. Chris Kisby joins me for the call 8:20 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Wednesday night, the Goodyear V8 T2 E Series, the second split, the development series. They go at it from the same venue, Donington Park in the UK, 8:20 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And again, that is a super sprint format. Reverse grids, the whole box and dice. It is going to be fireworks. Don't worry about that. Then, Cup car racing returns, NASCAR style, next Saturday night. Phoenix, Arizona, the venue. So we're off to the west coast of the United States for the 13th round of the Weekend Warriors series. And that'll be live here on SimShed Broadcasting across the platforms of Facebook and YouTube, and Real Sim Racing Australasia as well. 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Before we go, Peter Gretton and Aidan Schultz, a driver of the night nomination from you. Hard to look past Ruben Schultz, but really, Dylan Davies to get a top 5 result after finishing 23rd is worth an honourable mention as far as I'm concerned. Paul Jackson went from 21st to 6th in all of that. Pariana Stark has moved up from 24th to 10th. So there were some big movers throughout the night, but no one was catching Ruben Phelps, who started 8th and just ploughed his way through.
Yeah, my driver of the night would have to be Ruben. I know he got the win and he was up the front there from the start, but it was just a really consolidated drive from Ruben. Barry did really pressure him towards the end, and it was really, it's really a flip the coin whether I go Ruben or Barry, but Ruben did do the amazing drive tonight and kept it clean and got it out the front. So I would put Ruben as driver of the night.
To be fair, Pete, he cleaned us out. He might not have got pole position, but he got the win. He got the fastest lap, and he also got the bonus points for most laps led as well. So he has completely and utterly wiped us clean tonight.
Yeah, I think so, mate. Definitely Phelps is got to be one to mention. But, the whole night was a success. And, I'm going to go outside the square and Mr. JP behind the buttons, mate. And you've got the guy of the night, not the driver of the night, but the guy of the night. JP, you're awesome. And yeah, so that's outside the square, but that's what I think I'm doing.
Well, that being said, he is driving the broadcast panel, so he is actually driving something tonight. It's just a different set of buttons. So no, that's a fair nod. I'll second that. JP does a very, very good job. In fact, had to jump into the broadcast booth the other night and play commentator and producer out to do what you guys do with your other stuff, because I was tied up elsewhere. Matt Davis got called into real world work. So poor old JP was left high and dry, but at least he's able to jump in when needed. Did a great job. As per usual, final thoughts, Aidan, before we wrap this baby up?
No, just sensational drive by all drivers involved. Thank you to Mark for allowing SimShed Broadcasting to be a part of your league, mate. I'm just a commentator for SimShed Broadcasting, but it's amazing to be able to get amongst it and be able to put my voice to it. As much as some people may like it, may not like it, I hope you like the content that we bring. We don't know. I suppose the comments will come. But yeah,
don't throw yourself under the bus. Let other people do that for you. Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly.
mate, no, dude. That's what social media is for, mate.
That's right. Exactly.
All good, but no, just really appreciate being part of the league. Sensational drive by everyone. I wish I was being able to drive it, but I'm actually more excited to be able to commentate on it and be able to give you guys some content. It's not about me driving. I can drive other things. So thank you. But I will be driving Memorial Weekend, as Zach has previously said, and he's going to cover me for that. But yeah, that's all I got to say. It's been amazing being able to be a part of it and be able to create the content. And thank you again, Zach, for jumping in and helping me so I wasn't a lone ranger. And you again, Peter, for jumping on and being able to create the content here for Weekend Warriors and SimShed Broadcasting.
Yeah, the commentator's curse struck me at about 11 o'clock last night on your note there, Aidan, and you're welcome, by the way, because I silently was fist pumping because I had a weekend clear and a weekend off just to kick back and relax. Spoke too soon, but no, very good fun. Well worth the price of admission tonight. If you didn't enjoy what you've seen, short track style, you're very difficult to please. It's been good fun. That's it from us. We hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you Tuesday night when we continue the NTS V8 Super Series round 12, of course, from Donington Park in the UK. Short track racing over and out, off to the 1 miler in Phoenix next weekend on Saturday Night Motorsport, and looking forward to that immensely. Our thanks to SDK Gaming, to Abritzi Australia, SimShed Broadcasting, and Short Shift Sim Racing Magazine, who are making the Weekend Warriors on SimShed Broadcasting live and free on a Saturday night possible across the platforms of YouTube and Facebook. On behalf of JP, Peter Gretton, Aidan Schultz, and the team, I'm Zach Caban. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.